Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to be stopped.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Face off!
I am not a church boy.
Face off!
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all. Let me just get my mic. There we go. Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Tuesday evening edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. My name is Keaton Weiss. Russell is getting himself situated. I assume, sorry I look a little foggy today. I may look a little foggy today. I had a little bit of a technical mishap. I think one of the ports on my computer is bad. And so I got, I'm using my Mac webcam tonight instead of my ultra high-end webcam that I usually use. So if I'm coming through a little foggy, that's why. It's not you, it's me, as they say.
Delay messes me up every time, man. I kept it on the channel and everything.
Yeah, well, there's a delay. Yeah, there's about a 10 second,
that's a pretty
delay.
No, it was more than that.
I mean,
I was about halfway into the intro. I thought I still had time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, you gotta play it safe. Gotta play it safe. We got 629 strong in the YouTube chat tonight, 274 over on Rumble. Thanks everybody for being here. Of course, this is a special election night edition of the Do Dissidents podcast because we are following the live results for the New York primary, which Russell actually voted in today. He even got his sticker. He even got his Libby sticker. He's living out.
I got my sticker and I got my special election night hat.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, that's Russell voted today in New York's 13th district.
So this is what's awesome about living in Harlem, and it also kind of sucks because, you know, you go to the polling place with this on the Upper West Side, you're going to give like 5 old ladies a stroke. You do that in Harlem, people are like, where'd you get that shirt?
Yeah. The No More Wars for Israel shirt. That's right. Did you get compliments on your shirt?
I had one guy on the street say, where'd you get that shirt?
Oh, there you go. All right, not bad. Not bad.
And I didn't get a single, not even a dirty look.
Not even a dirty look. Wow, look at that. Good for you.
I had in the local pizzeria, somebody wrote "Free Palestine," and then some fucking Zionist cunts covered it up with a poster, and I ripped the poster off the last time I was in there.
Oh,
so,
because
because they covered it over, but it took a while. Like I mean, if you did that up on the Upper West Side, it would take about 20 minutes before one of those people would complain about it. They'd probably call stop anti-Semitism on the owner.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
So I got a video to sum up the state of play here, so we know what the hell we're talking about. There's very much kind of Mamdani's DSA candidates versus the more establishment candidates, some of whom are Working Families Party endorsed. That's kind of a local meaningless party line here, because in New York you can have these party lines that endorse candidates of other parties. You have a unique thing here. We have the Working Families Party, which doesn't actually run candidates. They just do endorsements, but then you can vote for them on the Working Families Party line. So Keaton put it very well. We were talking the other day. They're like the Elizabeth Warren wing of the Democratic Party. That's essentially what they are. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is from just a few hours ago. Give you an idea of what we're talking about tonight.
4 hours left to vote before polls close with a host of high-stakes congressional races. And while Mayor Mamdani's name is not on the ballot, he has a lot at stake. Good evening at 5 o'clock. I'm Sade Better-Noir.
And I'm Joe Torres, and for Mike Marza, this primary will be a test of Mayor Zoran Mamdani's political influence.
He's backing progressive candidates in 3 congressional races, Districts 7, 10, and 13.
And several Democrats are seeking the
right
party
here.
nomination for the District 12 seat held by retiring Congressman Jerry Nadler. That includes President John Kennedy's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, and George Conway, a vocal critic of President Trump.
Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett is in downtown Brooklyn with more on these hotly contested races. NJ?
Right, Sade, it is the left versus the far left. Those are the words of Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, who I would say sums it up pretty well. This is a primary election in the nation's largest city that could change the face of New York's congressional delegation.
He's not on the ballot, but the stakes are high for Mayor Mamdani.
I've spoken again, time and again, about the fact that we need to have a Democratic Party that isn't just willing to stand up, but also to stand for something. And too often we have to look at the history books to find that.
Mamdani is hoping to replace establishment Democrats, Congressman Dan Goldman and Adriano Espaillat, and retiring Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez, with progressives who support his democratic socialist agenda.
This is the team. This is our year.
Endorsing 3 progressive Democrats, Claire Valdez, Brad Lander, and Darialisa Avila Chevalier, who is challenging Espaillat, who's endorsed by Governor Kathy Hochul and considers himself a progressive Democrat. But whether he's progressive enough will be answered by the voters tonight.
I'm part of the fabric of this community. I think I know the problems that it has.
Dan Goldman is another establishment Democrat facing a challenge from the left in Lander, the former city comptroller.
I'm really honored to have the mayor's support in this race.
Among the candidates least likely to face a challenge from the left is progressive Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso.
I think it's a left versus far left. I think it's the conversation we're having. The progressive tent is a large tent.
Did Mayor Mamdani's endorsement make a difference for you?
Yes. I love him. I would vote for whoever he tells me to vote for.
Whether Mamdani's endorsement makes a difference tonight depends, of course, on whom you ask.
Yeah, I value his opinion. I like him. No, it doesn't make a difference.
It didn't hurt. But I was going to vote for Lander anyway.
I do think that a lot of people in Congress are out of touch with what people need in this city, so I'm here for change.
And then there's this endorsement on Instagram by the city's First Lady, Rama Duwaji, supporting the 2 Democratic socialists on the ballot.
Ms. Duwaji tonight not publicly endorsing Lander, perhaps because Lander does not consider himself a Democratic socialist. More than 300,000 New Yorkers had cast their ballots by 3 o'clock this afternoon. The polls remain open until 9 o'clock tonight. Live tonight in downtown Brooklyn, NJ Burke.
Yeah, it might also be that he's a liberal Zionist. If I had to guess, it probably has more to do with that. Lander is one of those 2-state solution guys. But of course, that did not stop a lot of the paranoiacs from jumping on that. She didn't endorse one of them. I wonder what the difference is about Brad Lander. So I think the difference is probably that he supports the state of Israel's right to exist. And I don't think the other 2 do. So we'll get into this a little more later. I think with the Reynoso race, I think he might be overplaying his hand there and wind up with egg on his face. I don't know if that was the best idea for him. I think he probably would have been better to stay out of it. My local district. Oh yeah, grab this for you guys. All right, so I've been getting mailers. Like I've been getting these, like, stuff has been in my mailbox like every day. Now she clearly does not have that budget because I haven't gotten a single mailer from her. The only advertising I've seen of hers is around the corner from my house on a one of those plywood walls outside a construction site. They've got a bunch of large posters up for her. That's it. Anytime I've been by an early voting station, it's Espiat's people out there. That's it. I have not seen a single volunteer for her handing out any literature. So
Yeah, that
based
seems
on
like
experience, that doesn't bode well because most people they're not like us. They don't know anything. They don't know who's running. They see who's got flyers outside the polling station. That's who they vote for.
Yeah, well, I mean, that definitely seems like the heaviest lift of the three big Mamdani endorsements. Lander's
The
widely
Brooklyn one's a
favored to
pretty heavy lift
win.
too, I think, man.
Which
Like
one?
she
Valdez?
the Valdez Reynoso race because Vasquez, she was a pretty well liked
Yes.
congressperson there. She's a pretty legendary figure in New York. You're going against her, like that's why I'm saying I think he should have just stayed out of that one. Like with the Lander and Espiat race, even if he loses, it's not going to really be a black eye because it's going to play like a principled stand.
Yeah.
With that one, it just doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah, so like I said, the heavy lift here is your district, and then the second heaviest lift is the Valdez district, and then Lander. It would be pretty surprising if Lander didn't win. I mean, the smart money
Yeah.
is overwhelmingly on Lander to win, and then of course we got our friend Jose Vega running against Michael Blake and incumbent Richie Torres in the 15th district. The polls do close at 9 p.m. Eastern, so we have plenty of material to get to before the polls close, and throughout the night we'll be doing segments as well as live results. We do have our friend Cool Blue who is here. Cool Blue, you want to say a quick hello right now, and then we'll let you back in when the polls close? Unmute your mic. Here's Cool Blue, everybody. Go ahead, Cool Blue. Say hello to everybody.
Well, good evening, gentlemen, and good evening, everybody. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. I got my little chyron for you that I just made up here. So, well, this will be you, and then you're Cool Blue 71 on Twitter, right? That's your handle.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. I'll make sure we get that there so that everybody can follow you. Cool Blue is our Steve Kornacki. He is the best in the business.
Yes.
And I don't bother making election predictions anymore. I just go by what Cool Blue says. So there is your chyron there, my friend.
Fuck Nate Silver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we'll let you back in when the polls close and we're ready to get some results. Until then, feel free to hang out back there and enjoy the program. So we'll be back with Cool Blue at around 9 Eastern when we should have our first election results in from tonight. Should be an exciting evening. In the meantime, smash that like button. We got 1099 in the YouTube chat. We got 372 over on Rumble. Let's take some Rumble rants and some super chats to start things off here. Warm Red, I like that. Warm Red 99 says, "Hey guys, in case Cool Blue can't make it tonight, here's my prediction. Be prepared for a Ron Paul landslide as the write-in votes are counted for New York." Well, thank you, Warm Red. Appreciate you being here for us. But we do have the man, Cool Blue, in here tonight. Vienticus Prime says everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Thank you, Vienticus. French Laundry says, "Why are my 5 favorite shows live at 7 p.m. today?" That's a YouTuber collusion. Pick DD, though. Yes, yeah, we are sorry for any friends whose time slots we're stepping on tonight. We're only doing this because it is election night.
Oh, those are like regular time slots.
Yeah, so we could be stepping on some of our friends here. We apologize about that. It is election night, so that's why we are live at night. There's good reason for it. Eric Cousseau says, "Did you know the police murder over 10,000 families' dogs every year? Must be that great IDF training your cops get. Kill the enemy, which are working families." I did not know that statistic, Eric Cousseau.
Yeah, but that video, I shared that video out of that woman, man. That was horrible.
Oh, yeah? Something, why, they killed a dog?
Yeah, that was like a week ago, man. They were celebrating the Knicks. And they were raiding this building for some specious reason. And one of the cops panicked when she came to the door. I guess they knocked on her door and they freaking killed her dog, man.
Oh, Jesus.
The woman was like hysterical. She's sitting there watching the Knicks with her dog. Next second, she knows her dog is dead.
Jesus Christ. That's horrible. Wow. Wow. I didn't see that. Me Shoot Skeet, thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate that very much. All right, folks, we got a lot to get to tonight as well as some election results. So thanks for being here with us. Why don't we get right on started?
Okay. I think we need a sound drop for this. I didn't get the sound drop ready.
Oh, damn it. I thought
You
of
know?
my own
All right, I
sound
got
drop.
it. I got it.
All right.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't
No,
load
go
it
ahead.
in.
No.
All right.
I thought
Hey,
of it, but I
man.
didn't do it. I meant to do it, but I forgot about it.
Given the circumstances, this may be the last opportunity we have to use this sound drop. That's right. Miss Tulsi Gabbard has recently resigned from her post as DNI, which is a shame. She was doing such a bang-up job over there. But on the way out, she announced, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents exposing how Dr. Fauci provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab, worked with politicized elements within the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions and hide the virus's lab leak origins, and lied to Congress while under oath in 2024. It's time you knew the truth. Okay. So that was her big drop. And some people felt this drop was so big that that's why she resigned, because she wanted to tell people the truth about this.
What we
But
already knew 5 years ago, basically.
that we already knew 5 years ago. But according to JP Sears here, anyone know why Tulsi waited to release this until after the statute of limitations ran out on Fauci? It's almost like it's political theater, but tell me if I'm missing something. Well, I don't know about all that, but as Keaton points out, there was really nothing in this drop that hadn't already been out there. And by the way, just to be clear, I'm not skeptical of these accusations. I read what was out there before and concluded he had done that. So we already know that Fauci was funding gain-of-function research and intimidating doctors and scientists not to talk about it, not to reveal it. That was out there years ago. Whether this filled in some blanks, I don't know. But you know what? I think a lot of us have to take some personal responsibility. Now, I have been on the Tulsi is an op train for quite a while, but not this long. This was back in 2017, and I remember this article, and I think a lot of us wanted to like Tulsi at that time, so we ignored this article from the New Yorker. What does Tulsi Gabbard believe? And it got into kind of her evolution, shall we say, as a politician. But it was probably the most thorough examination of what some call a religious cult that she grew up in that has been done to date. So just a little bit from that. Tulsi Gabbard says she began learning the spiritual principles of Vaishnava Hinduism as a kid, and that she grew up largely among fellow disciples, some of whom would gather on the beach for kirtan, the practice of singing or chanting sacred songs. Gabbard pursued a spiritual education. As a girl, she spent 2 years in the Philippines at informal schools run by followers of Chris Butler. Defectors tell stories of children discouraged by Butler from attending secular schools, of followers forbidden to speak publicly about the group, of returning travelers quarantined for days lest they transmit a contagious disease to Butler, of devotees lying prostrate whenever he entered the room, or adding bits of his nail clippings to their food, or eating spoonfuls of sand that he had walked upon. Some former members portray themselves as survivors of an abusive cult. Butler denies these reports, and Gabbard says that she finds them hard to credit. Quote, I've never heard him say anything hateful or say anything mean about anybody, she says of Butler. Keep that in mind. I can speak to my own personal experience and, frankly, my gratitude to him for the gift of this wonderful spiritual practice that he has given to me and to so many people. Gabbard and Butler both say that the foundation is a resource, not a religious organization. There is no official hierarchy and therefore no system of accountability besides Butler's own conscience and the conscience of those who are devoted to him. Okay. All right. So basically he had a kind of cult that he had developed on his own. Then a Hare Krishna teacher made their way to Hawaii, and he agreed to become his disciple. This is back in the 70s with Chris Butler. And he said, I'll become your disciple and I'll give you all my followers. Eventually, he started to kind of have a schism with his teacher, and maybe fortunately for him, his teacher died. And then he just created his own version of worship. And he's essentially been running this organization as a cult leader ever since. It's not his first venture into politics. He's been trying to mount candidates to get into politics since the 70s. He secretly fielded a bunch of candidates in Hawaii in the 70s, all of whom lost, some of whom have worked for Gabbard later on, and children of those candidates worked for Gabbard later on. And here's something else that, I don't know, by then I think we just weren't paying that much attention to Gabbard in general, or for me personally, I was more focused on her background in psychological operations. But there was this in the Wall Street Journal, January 2025. As a rising political star, Gabbard paid to mask her sex ties to alleged scheme. To defend and burnish Tulsi Gabbard's image as her political star was rising, her congressional campaign hired a public affairs firm in 2017 that tried to suppress coverage of an alleged pyramid scheme connected to her Hindu sect, according to interviews, emails, and Federal Election Commission records. Gabbard, a former House member who is now President Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence, was raised in the Science of Identity Foundation, a sect tied to a direct marketing firm accused of running a pyramid scheme in several countries. Neither Gabbard, the sect, nor the firm, QI Group, wanted the relationships scrutinized. Gabbard's campaign paid Washington, D.C. based Potomac Square Group for the PR cleanup, trying to mask the connections. But the operation was directed by a Science of Identity follower and longtime Gabbard advisor who sits on the board of a QI subsidiary. So there was a lot of this stuff about this cult that Gabbard was in, and nobody really paid a lot of attention to it, honestly, myself included. Like, I don't think we ever did a story about this. But it looks like there was a big there. Tulsi Gabbard, her guru, and the mysterious messages that helped shape her political career. This is by John Swain. I obtained hundreds of confidential memos detailing politics and policy guidance for Gabbard from her years in Congress, then embarked on a quest to identify who was behind them. Dozens of attached memos appeared to document directives and advice for Gabbard from her time in Congress. Some contained instructions on what legislation she should propose, which policies she should embrace, and how she should conduct herself on television. They had an air of authority. A memo about a proposal to partition war-torn Iraq into 3 states quoted an unnamed person as saying it was, quote, time for TG to come up with this idea, unquote. Some of the language was harshly critical. One memo I found from January 2015 contained a derisive assessment of a statement Gabbard was to give in response to President Barack Obama's annual address to Congress. Quote, in the first place, nobody gives a shit what you think about his State of the Union speech unless you're going to say something of interest, the memo quoted someone as saying. You're not even trying. You've become really intellectually lazy. In another, Gabbard was described as chicken shit and mealy-mouthed for her comments on a policy proposal. Some of the memos had file names that included call with TG and attributed remarks to Gabbard, while in others, the spoken remarks referred to Gabbard in third person. But the main speaker in each memo, the person who appeared to be issuing directives and sometimes castigating Gabbard, wasn't named. There was simply no attribution or mention of who they were. When I asked Rebecca Salzberg about this, she seemed amused. So briefly, this is the woman who leaked all this. She had been at one point the digital director for the foundation. And she wound up going to jail because she took in the teenage daughter of one of the members who claimed she was being abused, shall we say. Salzberg claims that that was a general problem running through the cult and that she was not happy with the way that it was being addressed. But then she claims the person who got her to take the girl in then got intimidated into changing her story, leading to her getting arrested. So is why she kind of has a grudge. When I asked Rebecca Salzberg about this, she seemed amused. It was Butler, of course, she said. No one else could speak to Gabbard like that, she added. Salzberg said the memos were unattributed precisely to mask Butler's identity if they ever became public. Salzberg kept searching her email and social media accounts and sending documents. Eventually, the files she shared ran to more than 25,000 pages, including hundreds of memos reflecting guidance for Gabbard between 2011 and 2017, most from her first 2 terms in Congress. The main speaker in a 2014 memo pressed for her to propose legislation penalizing countries with citizens who had fought for the Islamic State and to issue a statement about it. Quote, get it started in the morning, the person said. You need to be the leader in this regard. Don't dick around. I found that Gabbard released a statement the following day. A week after that, she introduced a bill in the House. In October 12, 2015 memo labeled CNN Wolf Blitzer Talking Points Final contained the language about reports that she had been asked by Democratic leadership not to attend a presidential debate. Quote, it's not a boo-hoo. I don't get to go to the party situation, Wolf. I dug up the clip of her appearance that day and found she had used the line almost verbatim. Quote, the issue here is not about me saying boo-hoo, I'm going to miss the party. Reading over the documents, I found more on Syria, including a directive Allison Hone sent to one of Gabbard's personal email accounts in 2014. Allison Hone was the person that she had moved to Hawaii with. And at the time that these emails were sent, she was the personal assistant of Chris Butler. Important to do. Must tweet around 9 a.m., said the subject line. It contained a pre-written tweet with a link to a video on the plight of Kurdish fighters in the city of Kobane, which was under siege by the Islamic State. Quote, every word of the tweet language is approved, Hone wrote. She added later that Gabbard should tag senior Obama administration officials in identical follow-up posts. He'd like them to see the video, she wrote. Once again, he was not identified. I checked Gabbard's page on Twitter, now known as X. I saw that she had posted the tweet verbatim that day and followed up with posts tagging the senior officials. Then she emailed Hohen. Sent tweet, Gabbard wrote. A June 2014 memo Hohen emailed Gabbard ahead of a TV appearance was direct. Don't forget to smile, etc. Don't do the eye thing. On YouTube, I found a clip of Gabbard on CNN the following day. At several points, she opened her eyes wide while speaking. Well, from what I saw, she's doing the fucking eye thing again. an unnamed speaker told Hohen later that day, according to a transcript of their conversation emailed to Salzberg and others. She's still doing the I thing. And here's the tweet. At Barack Obama, please show aloha to Kobani Kurds. Need airstrikes, heavy weapons. Mahalo must see video. So it's pretty conclusive. There are many other examples. It's a pretty long article, and these are just the highlights. On May 20th, having received no answers from Gabbard to my questions for 2 months, I emailed her, her press secretary, and her chief of staff. I let them know we plan to proceed with a story about her association with Butler. I again invited Gabbard to address my questions. 2 days later, Fox News reported that Gabbard, whose departure had been rumored for months, would be leaving the position of DNI this month because her husband had been diagnosed with a rare bone cancer. Well, that's pretty funny timing, isn't it? As soon as I saw this, I said, that's why she resigned. This is not survivable. This is not nearly the story it would be if she had not resigned. If she were still in office and this broke, and again, I'm just pointing out a few highlights to give you the essence of the story. It's a long story, and he did a very good job backing up everything that he's saying, including having Claude analyze the linguistics of the unnamed person sending these messages and comparing it to public speeches by Chris Butler. Like he made his, and of course, like who else would they hide the identity of over years that way? Like why would they do that with anybody else? And this guy is known to not use computer. He's like a mob boss. He doesn't use computers. He doesn't write letters. Yeah, well, you guy tell a guy and tell a guy and tell a guy. All right, that's how you stay out of jail. And then you want to see how much of online discourse is just bots, just fake people. Gabbard had a team. A lot of people who'd be defending her online were members of the cult who had burner accounts. So at the end, he went after she resigned and took a look to see if those accounts had become active again. As I had worked on this story, I kept tabs on the social media accounts that had been part of the campaign to defend and boost Gabbard online while she was in Congress. Some of the accounts piped up again in the days after Gabbard announced her resignation, posting a set of sound-alike comments. Quote, DNI Gabbard is a true patriot and will be missed, wrote at I'm a Cruisin', who describes herself as just an island girl living the island dream. The Sandy Thomas account reposted a similar message. Tulsi Gabbard is a patriot. She will be greatly missed. A third account named only as Dawn echoed the sentiment. Tulsi will be missed. She is truly one of a kind and a true patriot. Now, the article gets into detail about how you had these cult member women in their 60s creating accounts where they're 30-something guitar-playing men. And you look at it, and the way they directed them to only every fourth post about Gabbard so that it wouldn't be obvious. And you look at that, you say, wow, man, that's probably like 80% of the people you see commenting on politics are that. Because Gabbard and this cult didn't have the resources that some of these campaigns have, some of these media figures have, some of these states have, right? I had somebody get angry because look, I mean, I've had a lot of positive things to say about China, but I've been very frank that it's been clear to me sometimes when I say things about China that I get agents responding, posing as Westerners. And you'll get people who get angry, and I tell them, do you think China, like uniquely among all states, doesn't do that? Like it's the one state that doesn't do that. Like I'm not saying like they're unique in doing that. It's just, I think that's probably an entry-level job in the Chinese intelligence services. So they're not all able to sell that they're Westerners. Their syntax is a little too perfect. So it becomes obvious when they do that. But yeah, It's the dead internet theory. Like, how much of it is authentic at this point? Kim Iverson said it a while ago that she thinks there's 5,000 people actually engaging, and everyone else is a bot. She might not be that far off. So this is funny, the reactions that you get to this, because the libs hate Gabbard, right? Absolutely despise her. But for all the wrong reasons. A standing ovation for the Washington Post. He's got the Ukraine flag in there and everything. You spent a full year investigating whether America's Director of National Intelligence, the woman with access to every classified secret this country has, was being directed by a cult leader who got busted for pyramid schemes in multiple countries. And you held it until she resigned. Dumbass. She probably resigned because they were about
because of this. Yeah. Yeah.
This is why she resigned. The same cult leader, Chris Butler, has his sect directly tied to QI Group, QNet, a Hong Kong-based company with operations across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So the real question, which countries now have access to our national intelligence? Which of our spy names are compromised? Now, look, it's a fair point. It is a fair point. It's a point that gets lost when you go on the way you go on here. And let's not forget, this is the same Tulsi Gabbard who used her position to do a coordinated hit job on Dr. Fauci, a man who spent his entire life saving America. See, why can't you be like us? Why can't you hate everybody?
Yeah.
Is that
I
so
guarantee you
hard?
this guy didn't read the article, because if he did, he didn't realize that the reason she resigned is almost certainly because of the imminent publication of this artitle.
Right.
Which
Carolyn
means, who knows, it might not be a real
Orbueno.
person.
It may not be a real person.
Who
This one
knows?
I think is a real person because she wrote a whole ass article about this aspect of it. I've been investigating inauthentic online activity around Tulsi Gabbard for 7 years. And now hundreds of pages of leaked documents confirm much of what I found. That a network of fake accounts has been working for years to boost Gabbard and attack her critics. Ryan Grimm, there's been chatter about the cult Tulsi is in for some time, and he has here a tweet of his own from 2023. It's called the Science of Identity Foundation and has all the hallmarks of a cult. Laura Loomer. She hates Tulsi for very different reasons. The lack of vetting inside the Trump administration is truly a crisis. I have been warning for over a year that not enough vetting was done on some of the terrible nominees who were forced onto President Trump by people who lie to him daily and hide opposition research from him. No more wire huggers! We all know who forced Tulsi Gabbard onto Trump. Tucker Carlson and Roger Stone. Yeah, I don't know, man. At a moment when Milo Yiannopoulos is dropping all the crazy texts you sent him in the middle of the night about the guys who decided they didn't want to fuck you, might not be the moment to weigh in on this kind of thing. David Gray. Yeah, bullshit. Tulsi is a liberal with integrity. She was a Bernie Sanders supporter and resigned from the DNC when its leadership screwed him over in favor of Hillary Clinton. Now the far left hates her because she supported Trump and his efforts to bring transparency to the misdeeds of the federal government. Oh, that's what he did. Your gaslighting no longer works. Anyone can see the document she released and decide for themselves. Deny it all you want, but you can't change the facts with propaganda. Yeah, man. I mean, this is why I got that sound drop. Something about a pretty woman that really brings out the retard in people, man. It really does. Like there's just a level of retard around the discourse around Tulsi, both positive and negative. Look, she's an op, I've been saying this for a long time, whether she's an op for a cult, whether she's an op for the deep state, whether it's some of both. It was very obvious her freaking behavior made no sense. It made no sense. The way that she'd be talking about Trump being Saudi Arabia's bitch and then flipping on a dime to the next position, which she did over and over and over again. Now, you could interpret that as, well, she's enthralled to a deranged cult leader who gives her different directives all the time. Or maybe she has her own opinions that conflict with the cult leader. So when she expresses those, she gets smacked back and then has to go in the other direction. I can tell you, as somebody who takes a kind of more than a passing interest in cults and has done a lot of research, in particular into Scientology, that sounds like David Miscavige, that very abusive kind of tone, very dismissive. That's why I wanted to take a look at that in the New Yorker, where she makes a point of saying, "No, I've never seen anything like that from him." And look at how she's talked to. That is a very familiar dynamic between cult leaders and their followers, and she's very much like Scientology, man. Where a lot of these Scientologists, they grew up in it, like they never got a choice. Their parents joined it. That's what happened with her. Her parents joined this cult, and she was raised in it, and they sent her to school in it. What they're talking about in the Philippines, that's this guy doesn't believe in sending people to public schools. Again, very typical of cults. You don't want them to be exposed to anyone else's ideas. There are other reasons not to send people to public school, but that wouldn't be the cult leader's reason for not wanting to send them there. So yeah, I mean, this is, on the one hand, this is a big bombshell you didn't see coming, but on the other hand, if you look at the reporting, we should have seen this coming because this has been out there for years. It's not like nobody knew about this. I think a lot of us, look, speaking for myself, at that, especially at that time in 2017, because they were trying so hard to put the stink on Tulsi, I think it was easy to dismiss it as kind of religious bigotry, or they were just trying to find another way to discredit her. And that's their line on it, even now, that this is anti-Hindu bigotry. But, you know, there's Hinduism, and there's some surfer started a cult in Hawaii and your parents joined and you were raised in it. And this is clearly the latter. And the evidence in the article is very conclusive that in the end, this guy seemed to have the final word on what she did in office.
Yeah, Meghan McCain is calling it anti-Hindu bigotry. She tweets out,
Is she? You're kidding. You're kidding.
Yeah, no, she tweets, no, she tweeted out, "I've never seen such despicable bigotry towards Hinduism as what I see directed towards my friend Tulsi Gabbard." Of course not. Of course, it's absurd. It's absolutely abhorrent. And if she were a Democrat, none of this would be happening. The fact that Meghan McCain is such good friends with Tulsi Gabbard, when, you know, Meghan McCain comes from like the neocon family of all neocon families. I mean, that should tell you right there Tulsi is controlled somehow, or something is up with that, right? I think the reason why a lot of us dismiss this is because liberals used to attack Tulsi's sort of social conservative past as being tied to this. And we always said, well, yeah. And my take on it at the time was like, yeah, as a child, she was raised in this weird sort of quasi-secret society. Like, I had a vague understanding of what it was based on like
think we
reporting that
also
was out
kind of
there.
looked at it like she had moved away from it.
Well, that's the thing. Because she seemed kind of steadfast in her convictions, this kind of seemed at the time like it was something she grew up in and then grew out of.
Yes, right.
But as she started really embracing more and more of the conservative agenda, after having left the DNC in protest to back Bernie Sanders in 2016, that's when you started to think, okay, what are her actual convictions? Because now she's seemed to have done another radical switch. Because don't forget, she had like, because I remember we used to bring this up in defense of her, because she got criticized for her, like, you know, anti-gay statements as a very young woman. And we mentioned she had like an A voting record on LGBT issues. So she wasn't
parents
this
put
like
her in a commercial when she was a teenager.
okay.
Against gay marriage.
Okay, yeah. So, but then she had an A rating on LGBT issues. So we said, no, she's not this like anti-gay bigot. That was her childhood, and now she grew. But then she went all the way back to the anti-woke extreme of the culture wars.
Well, and the anti.
So then it became kind of really kind of and the anti-Islam stuff. Yeah. So then it became a question. Okay, where are you actually? Yeah, exactly. Like where are you really? And this explains it basically. I mean, like I said, it's pretty well documented. The fact that she resigned 2 days after it was confirmed to her that this report would be coming out, I mean, that's obviously an open and shut case. That's obviously why she resigned. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff there. Pretty crazy stuff there. And I meant to do this. I didn't do this, but I think we got to replace the I Touch Myself with there's that Damien Rice song, that really sad breakup song. They use it in the movie Closer in 2004. It's, I can't get my mind off of you. That's what we got to use for Tulsi now, because now it's that. Now anybody who's still hanging on, it's that. I can't let you go.
Is anyone still hanging on? Who's still hanging on?
I can't let you go. Well,
other than that last guy, it's probably a bot.
That's who that song is for. That's who that song is for at this point.
All right, so, one for the road, Tulsi. One for the road.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
What's that?
Bye, Tulsi.
Bye, Tulsi. All right. You want to take some of those chats and rants?
All right. French Laundry. Oh, you did that one already.
Yeah. I did that one. That one.
Saucer 78. Why is Piker, Vosh, or Destiny avoiding talking about our buddy Jose Vega? I know those guys are partisan hacks, but still, keep up the great. Well, you just answered your own question, my friend.
Yeah, and
they're not going to talk about Jose.
They didn't talk about Michael Blake either. That's how you know Michael Blake is just kind of a placeholder candidate, because you would think of all of the conservative Zionist Democrats who are facing, primaries tonight, you'd think Richie Torres, who's like the worst of them all, would get some attention in terms of, his race. But they're not even talking about Michael Blake, those guys, obviously Jimmy's had Jose on. We know that Kim Iverson has had Jose on. So he's gotten some press in the indie media space, but yeah, not in those really Democrat aligned circles for, like Russ said, pretty obvious reasons. I think you answered your own question there.
Yeah, I mean, you got Kuklinski over there already getting ready to glaze Gavin Newsom or whoever the fuck they shove in front of people. Albu Kid, just tuning in. Why does Russ look like an extra on the MASH set? I'm not complaining. I love that show. Come on, tally ho. Well, no, actually, this is the hat of people who would have been fighting against the people in MASH. This is a Vietnamese hat from the Vietnamese army. So, yeah. But, I mean, if you're talking about the people on the other side. Just in case, Russ, is that T-shirt Jake Shields merch? It should be. Should be our freaking merch. Eric Rousseau, thoughts on Canada's basically proving TPUSA was in on Charlie Kirk assassination. Prego, Candace is on fire. You're talking about the microphone thing? I haven't had a chance to really delve into it. Michael Castillo, Tulsi is full of warm excrement. I'm here in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. The Colonial Theater here was one of the filming locations for the 1953 movie, The Blob.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Did
That's
they keep it? Did they keep it in its original style?
I believe they did. I worked a weekend in Phoenixville when we were doing our jewelry stuff. I worked a wholesale show in it was the neighboring town. I forget where it was, but our hotel was in Phoenixville. It's a lovely town. A lot of great breweries, places to eat, nice walking village. Yeah, it's a great town. So yeah, I hope you enjoy yourself.
Okay,
there.
but did they keep the movie?
It looked like it looked like the marquee was period. We didn't go to a movie there. We were working the whole weekend, so we didn't have time to go to a movie. But yeah, it looks period from the outside at least, which means I'm sure it's period on the inside.
That's I wear the shirt sometimes. The North Park Theater in Buffalo, fully restored 1921 movie theater. Absolutely beautiful. Ron Contra, the revolution's gotta have style. Yep. That's why I'm sporting my style, man. Eric Rousseau, Kurt Metzger, final assignment is to create a religion or cult. Derp mindfulness is my cult. Well, reportedly, that's what L. Ron Hubbard said. He said,
There
you know
you
how you
go.
make real money? Start a religion. Bronx Comrade, at an NY15 polling site, there was a very visible presence of Richie Torres supporters. Running scared, I refused the flyer, smiled, and said, see you in November. All right, rock
There
on,
you
man.
go. There you
All
go.
right. You want to go? Want to do your thing?
Do my thing, or are you
Do,
going into?
do you have it? Do you have a segment or?
I do. I could do mine. I could do mine now. I'm just seeing if there's any results because it is now 9:02. So the polls in New York are now closed. So we do have some results coming in. They are somewhat preliminary, although this is a decent amount of votes in so far from Russell's district, 13. So far, pretty strong showing for
Oh, yeah?
Daria-Lisa Villa-Chevalier. 47.6 to Espaillat's 47.2. So very, very close. Very, very close so far over there. But, this was, like I said, this was considered a pretty heavy lift here for her, given Espaillat's connections in the Bronx. Espaillat pulling 60 to 31. But then in Upper Manhattan, where Russ lives, it looks like Chevalier's edging him out there. So let's see. There's also a part of the Bronx. Isn't she representing part of the Bronx too? Chevalier,
Yeah,
26.1.
Yeah, this
Okay.
district has part of the Bronx.
Okay. Oh, no. Yeah, no, the Bronx. Yeah, so it's two parts of the Bronx, or is that two parts of Manhattan? I can't see where that is. See, everything's so gerrymandered. Now I'm
Yes.
zooming in. So I don't know if that's Queens or the Bronx there, that little tip there. You see
Hang-
that
hang
little
on.
appendix there? Yeah, I can't tell where that is.
I think that might. Oh, actually, hang on. Is it Queens?
It
I
could
think
be
we
Queens. That's
might-
the thing. It
yeah,
could be Queens.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's part. I think it's part of Queens.
Yeah, I can't tell from the map
Now
where
that
that is.
you mention it.
But all right, so there you go. There you go. Bronx.
No,
Espaillat.
I think you're right. I think it's Manhattan and Queens.
Okay. Yeah, could be. So Manhattan. Well, some of it's the Bronx. We know that. Oh no, New York County. So this is Manhattan. This is considered part of Manhattan. Is this like Randall's Island or some shit? I don't know. Like one of those areas. Cause see, it's New York County there. New York County is Manhattan. Obviously, Queens is Queens County. Brooklyn's Kings County. Bronx is Bronx County. Right. So Bronx, New York, New York. So this is considered part of Manhattan, wherever this is. I don't know where that would be.
Yeah,
is that one of the
but
islands?
Hang on, but what about?
Yeah, must be one of the islands.
Hang on, but to that direction, that would be Queens. Like the lighter blue there, isn't that Queens?
No, the lighter blue is the Bronx. That's the Bronx. It says Bronx County.
I see.
But
So you're
down
talking
here-
about this down
I'm
here.
talking about this little tip here. See, that's apparently
Yeah.
Manhattan. I don't know if that's one of the islands, like Randall's Island or whatever. I didn't think it was that big.
Yeah, well, that's
not
the
that
British
big,
used to call that just the tip.
Just the tip. That's right. Just the
That
tip.
part of Manhattan.
So yeah. So looks like
that's evolved into just the tip. Nobody knows where it
Chevalier
comes from.
is-
Yeah.
She's winning just the tip there.
It's winning just by the tip. Okay, that was something I was going to mention. This is something in her favor. It was kind of shocking when Espaillat won, actually. And a lot of Black Harlemites resented it because this district had been represented by Black congressmen since 1945, since Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He held the seat until 1970, and then Rangel held it until 2016. I think he retired. Rangel.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
And then Espaillat took it, kind of representing a new demographic that had moved into that district. She's half Dominican and half Haitian. More Black than Espaillat. So it would not surprise me if a lot of those voters went for her instead of him, especially because it's not like during his time in office, he's done anything to build bridges with that community. If anything, he's gone out of his way to gin up Latino turnout by emphasizing that he's Latino.
Right. Brad Lander crushing it. This is the other Mamdani endorsee. 35% of the vote in, 62-38. He's widely favored to win this. So it looks like Lander is cruising there. And then the other race here is, of course, we got New York's 7th. There is another Mamdani endorsee there in Claire Valdez. So let's take a look at how that's going over there. Looks like Claire Valdez is off to a very, very strong start there. 52 for Valdez, 39 for Reynosa.
Damn.
So
Damn. All right.
The Zoran effect seems to be pretty potent so far. Pretty potent so far. It is relatively early, but that's 30% of the vote in. That's a significant vote chunk there. That's not peanuts.
Listen, man. If Mamdani sweeps this, the fucking Zionist meltdown tomorrow. The Zionists and the billionaires, who are usually the same people, and they're both named Bill Ackman, are going to go fucking berserk tomorrow.
Yeah. I would say so. I think that is a good projection there. All right, let's check how our boy's doing, how Jose Vega is doing with no institutional support except for this show and a few others. He is at 4.6% there. Michael Blake, 19. Richie Torres, 75. So there we go. Look at our boy on the Chiron there on NBC News. Sad. Yes, sad. Exactly. All right, we will pick this up later in the evening. I'll bring in Cool Blue as these results come in. But right now, let's do another.
Yeah, Cool Blue. Here's a mission for you. Find out what boroughs my district encompasses.
Yeah.
I could swear part of Queens is in this district.
Okay. All right.
I could be wrong, but I could swear we have part of Queens.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Republican Party, shall we? Tucker Carlson making some news here, saying he cannot support the Republican Party anymore.
There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. Not because I would.
Sorry.
I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation, and they're not doing that. So, no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
If he's out, a lot of other people are out. Well, Ted Cruz says, this has been obvious for some time. Tucker Carlson hates Trump, Republicans, Israel, Christian Zionists, and you. You. Tucker loves Qatar, the Ayatollah, anti-Semite crackpots, shirtless Putin, Sharia law. Yeah, Ted's still holding a grudge. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's out. Tucker is not the only one who's done supporting the Republican Party. There is a lot of us who are absolutely fed up and will not support a party that betrays its voters and country. That does not mean we are turning into Democrats either, but we are done with the America Last Republican Party. So she follows suit. So Brianna Joy Gray says we're getting a new third party, and it's going to be conservative in character because most of the American left has been more interested in funneling anti-war economic populist voters back into the corporate warmongering Democratic Party than agitating around an alternative. Well, don't fall too far into despair, Brianna. Nick Fuentes says if Tucker says he's done with the Republican Party, then let's see him keep that same energy when his best friend J.D. Vance is running for president in 2028. Palantir Mafia will always stick together. Well, he called it. He called it because Tucker Carlson went on the Alex Jones show today.
That kid's got moxie.
Kid's got moxie. What can you say? Here on the Alex Jones show, he seems to leave the door wide open to supporting J.D. Vance for president in 2028.
J.D. Vance, I think he's great compared to Rubio.
Obviously, he's great compared to Rubio. Obviously. Look, I'll support the best person.
Bang my head on this, Michael. What do you mean he's great compared to Rubio? I thought Donald Trump was great compared to Rubio. I thought that's why he won the nomination and became president twice, is because he vanquished the Marco Rubio wing. So if Donald Trump is great compared to Rubio, but Donald Trump appointed Marco Rubio Secretary of State, then how much better was Donald Trump than Marco Rubio? Really?
Listen, I believe that J.D. Vance is the only one who's going to stop Alex Karp from setting loose German shepherds on all of our assholes. Okay?
You're right.
I've already been raped by a demon that suspiciously sounded like you, Alex.
Like you, Alex.
So I don't need that from a dog, okay? So JD it is.
JD it is. That's right. Oh, he's so much better than Marco Rubio. What do you mean he's better? How? Like you're gonna fall for this again, even at this stage. You're gonna start talking up JD Vance. This is what I told you they were doing. I said as soon as I saw JD Vance go and make those rounds on TV, I said this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to present JD Vance as the anti-war voice of reason, who is real MAGA, who should be trusted in 2028. Despite the fact that he has not resigned in protest over this.
Well, will you support J.D. Vance? I think he's great compared to Rubio.
Obviously, he's great compared to Rubio.
How?
Obviously. Look, I'll support the best person. I always have liked J.D. Vance enormously. I think he's really smart. He's in an impossible situation. I think he's doing his best. I strongly disapprove of, obviously, as I've said 100 times, of this war and of what.
I love how Trump and others have been blaming Vance when he's volunteering to go stop it, when internally it's confirmed he tried to stop it just like you did. I love how the guy that was right, he's the bad guy now and the war's his fault.
Right, here it is. Here it is. J.D. Vance is being unfairly vilified because he's the peacemaker and he didn't want this war to happen. So now he's the hero trying to go and clean up Donald Trump's mess because he's really in touch with the base and he really understands what the MAGA movement was all about. He's really anti-war, and that's why the Israel firsters are vilifying him. See, this is the whole narrative. And you could see this as soon as he set foot on the first of however many TV sets he set foot on right before he went off to negotiate this peace deal.
It's the people who tell the truth who are punished. It's the people who try to do for selfless motives the right thing who are punished. I mean, that's what evil is.
You said God would have to appear to you for you to run to president. So should we all pray that Jesus appear to you and tell you to run for president?
Oh.
Do I have to dress up as Jesus this time? I already got you good in my devil costume. Do I have to get my Jesus robe on? Pay a visit out to Maine? I love Maine in the summertime.
I don't want to run for president. I do want to be involved in offering an option of some kind. I don't know what that would look like, but it's not democracy when no matter who you vote for, you get the same result.
Right. And that was essentially proven when Donald Trump gave you the result that you thought you'd be getting if, say, Marco Rubio were president. So based on that, what indication do you have that J.D. Vance would be any better? Like at this point, how do you give any of these people the benefit of the doubt ever again? You can't. This is why I was so adamant. This is why I did 2 segments on J.D. Vance in this last week, because you could see the kind of thing coming a mile away. That this is really what they're priming you for. They're priming you to see J.D. Vance as the noble anti-war voice in the White House, so that you'll back him for 2028, because this is a period where the elites are really kind of at war with each other. And J.D. Vance represents a very specific wing of that elite class that now rode the Trump administration into power. The Trump campaign was just a vehicle for these people. Guys like Mark Andreessen and Elon Musk, they voted Democrat, but they didn't care. They're not right-wing ideologues. They this was the path to power. And now they have it, and now Vance is their guy to hang on to it. And so, of course, there's going to be this effort to sanitize his hand in all of this.
Yeah, well, we saw it in the dialogue segment. I can't remember the name of the reporter. He dug up an old invitation from another Peter Thiel event, a related event. And yeah, everything they were doing there at that time, this 2022, was like peak woke. And yeah, they drag shows and all of these very libby kind of events. That's who they are. In the end, they're more comfortable with people like that. But Trump offered a better opportunity. They don't care. Like in the end, it's about where the bread is buttered.
Yep. Don't forget, it was not until after Butler that Elon joined the Trump campaign. Now we think of Elon and Trump as joined at the hip. They were not. Elon was backing RFK Jr. Elon voted for Joe Biden. When did Elon back Trump? After Butler. When Elon said, well, now I have a moral obligation to back Trump because they tried to kill him. That's not why. Because that's when it became evident to Elon Trump was going to win. That's why he backed him.
Exactly.
Otherwise, he'd have backed whoever. He'd have cozied up to Kyle. Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Andreessen, Elon Musk. These are all people who will support whoever they need to. They don't have an ideology. These people they see themselves as gods. They see themselves as ushering in a future that humanity has not realized yet. That is what they think of themselves. You think they give a fuck who the president is? They don't care. But now that they got a foothold in this administration and their persona non grata with half the country, now they're all in. And so, of course, Vance is their guy. So, so anyway, just to put a button on this, Fuentes, didn't take long, LOL.
Yeah, right. What was it? What was he out of the Republican Party for 24 hours?
A few hours. A few hours. Now he's talking about going back. So yeah, Tucker was a little bit of a tease there.
It's hard to be out in the wilderness, man. It's hard to be out in the
hard,
wilderness,
especially when you got Alex Jones breaking into your cabin.
Yeah, you need that. You need that protection.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Someone to protect you from demon assault.
Right.
Yeah, hey, we've shown this a couple times in a couple different segments. Never forget that Tucker Carlson lied about knowing that his father was in the CIA. And the way Tucker Carlson sounded when he lied about that is just the way he sounds when he says anything else. There was no different. There was no tell. What? People told me my father was in the CIA. I said, no. And then after he died, I said, oh, I found out. You can find him a year before that talking about how his father was in the CIA. So, so we know he's a liar. We don't know why he was lying about that. But we also know when he lies, you can't tell.
Yeah, well, it's tough to say. That's being a pro. That's being a pro. So, hey, he seems to be, out of the Republican Party, at least for this cycle. But we'll see if he gets roped back in because, it was just, to me, it was very obvious
that keeps Vance in the race.
Yeah, I don't think Vance or Rubio. I don't think anybody from this administration is going to be viable in a general election. I mean, look, I still think Vance is actually going to be running as an incumbent. I still think Trump is going to resign. I don't think Trump is going to last the full term.
Yeah, you might be
I think
right.
He's going to resign.
Yeah.
So that changes a lot
could see
because
that.
if he runs as an incumbent, that changes everything. That changes, and then you'll see what Tucker has to say about that when no policy change actually happens, right? I mean, at that point, you're kind of out of excuses. All right. You want to take some super chats and some Rumble rants, and then I will bring in Cool Blue, and we'll do some more updates here. We should have a lot more votes in by now.
All right. Comrade Cranky, I was in the cult of Tulsi when I was 70 years old in 2020, and now I'm older, even more obsolete. Look at that, Matt. That is what you call aging gracefully, unlike some people. As a boomer with a sense of humor. Blank State. Tulsi had a lot more support in 2020 than corporate media was willing to admit or acknowledge. out of the 20 or however many candidates that ran in the Dem primary, she was one of the last 3 standing. Yeah. No, I would walk by Times Square peep shows. You would see like 5 strippers with a white streak. You know,
Yeah.
it was, and that's very predictive. They find that was going into the 2016 election. They had to hire a bunch of fat guys and dress them up in spray tans. You know?
Yeah.
You could tell who was going to win right there. Vienticus Prime. I always look forward to batshit crazy ranterings from Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
Yo, man, have you seen these texts that Milo's dropping? They're pretty crazy, man. Blank
There's a
State.
sassy crowd over there. They are a bunch of mean girls over there. You know,
Where?
you got Milo,
Milo?
Yiannopoulos,
Oh,
and
yeah,
Laura
yeah.
Loomer, and that whole clique, man.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Candace has been showing text, but
Candace
not
too,
not
even,
like
yeah.
apparently Milo. You know, I guess Laura made him like her gay friend confidant, and it seems like the whole time he fucking hated her. Was like, why does this bitch keep bothering me? So you know, you have these. He's dropping these texts of her talking about how she has a chemical imbalance. She's manic depressive. It's not her fault. She's a generous person, but no one understands her. She can't help it. It's something wrong with her brain. Like,
Got to be careful with those gay friends. Those gay friends, you know, they'll get you. They'll get you, especially in politics. Especially in
Yeah.
politics, yeah.
and this is when are we going to get that counter of how many days it's been since Benny said he was going to sue
That's
Milo?
what I mean. This is what I mean, man. You gotta watch out for those gay friends.
Yeah. What did he say? That his wife was crying in the lobby of a hotel while Benny in the closet was fucking guys upstairs.
Yeah.
And he said he's going to sue. I don't know, man. That's like what, 6 months now?
Been a
7
while.
months. You'd think if there's no truth to it, there would have been a lawsuit. Somebody said that shit about me, I'd sue him. Right? Come on, because I'd win. Like, what are you gonna dig up? It's not true.
Right.
If you're not suing, wow, that's a pretty outrageous claim to make about somebody who didn't actually do it. Blank State. Any candidate who runs for office has bot farms working on their behalf, even if the candidate themselves are not aware. At the third Dem debate in Houston, Gabbard had more supporters outside than Biden. I mean, you know, that was Biden, sure. But I mean, most of them don't have like Timu Scientologist bots tweeting on their behalf. That's a twist. Comrade Cranky, Tulsi is still a lieutenant colonel in the USA Reserve. Well, maybe they should look at that.
All right. After this, I got some news. We're gonna bring in Cool Blue.
Abu Kid, yes, MASH had little Korean kids, orphans, wearing pieces of uniforms from both sides. They ran around like set extras. I remember some of them looking very much like you do now, Russ. Well, this is from Vietnam. This is not from Korea. All right.
All right, Cool Blue, you're on, my friend. How are you?
Hi, gentlemen. Hi, everyone. Claire Valdez has been projected to defeat incumbent Antonio Reynoso in the 7th Congressional District for New York Democratic nomination.
Claire Valdez has been, declared the winner by a landslide.
And you know what? You know what? I called that as his least likely pickup. That bodes very well for Mamdani's picks in the other 2 districts.
Yeah. I mean, she was looking pretty strong. This was an open seat. Reynoso had the blessing of the longtime incumbent there. What's her name again?
Yep. Nydia Vasquez.
Vasquez, that's right, because it's Valdez, Vasquez, yeah. But yeah, that's a 20-point victory. I mean, one thing that jumps out at you here, Cool Blue, is the just very, very low turnout in these Democratic primaries. Like,
well, and people
turnout.
thought that was going to favor the establishment, but apparently, the ones who are turning out are the most passionate.
Yeah,
which is not how it usually works out.
No. Usually it's just like machine politics, right? The black church, and that's it, right? But here, I mean, you have Valdez at 22,000 votes. There's only projected to be another 32,000 votes coming in. So if you look at that, what is that? About 60, 70,000 votes for a New York City congressional district. That's very low turnout, I would think. What do you think?
Yeah,
Cool Blue?
yeah. Go ahead, Cool Blue.
I'm not too sure. Part of it also has to do with the timing of the year.
Yeah, it's summertime. That's true.
I'm in Michigan, and we have our primaries 3 months from the general election. We have it Tuesday, August 4, which is Barack Obama's 65th birthday. And any number of other states that are kind of a similar timing, it may stand out a little bit more. And you have people in the meantime here nearing the end of June whose minds are not on this.
Right. Also, some news. Brad Lander has been projected the winner, so he has defeated ultra-Zionist. Yes, Brad Lander, liberal Zionist. Far from a perfect guy, but Brad Lander has called Gaza a genocide and has advocated for cutting off aid to Israel, which is, of course, worlds better than Dan Goldman, who is just about as horrible as it gets. So he has been defeated in a landslide, 2-1. So Mamdani now is 2 for 3 officially. But the close race of the evening, as we projected, is Russell's district here. Russell's district still very, very close here. This is the one we're going to be watching, looks like, into the night. But Chevalier holding a 1.5 point lead here over
So it's grown
Adriano
a little bit. Right?
Espiat. It's grown a little bit. I mean, this is still very, very tight here, obviously. No lead is comfortable here at all.
What percent of the vote in?
Let's see. Well, you have 62% of the vote in total. You have Espiat running up pretty good margins in the Bronx. And then you have Chevalier running it up by about 6 points in Manhattan. So really the question is, at this point, where are the majority of outstanding votes? It seems like turnout in Manhattan is much, much higher than the Bronx. Because if you notice, Espiat, 60% of Bronx votes, but that's with 3,600 votes to Chevalier's 1,900. In Manhattan, as you can see, the raw vote is much, much higher. So that actually bodes well for Chevalier, because if a vast majority of votes are coming in out of Manhattan, where she's winning, even though she's not winning by a very big margin, it looks like there's a lot more votes to get from there than there are in this tiny pocket of the Bronx. Because don't forget, most of the Bronx is Richie Torres territory, and then there's some of AOC's district is in the Bronx too. So yeah, that's what you're looking at there. So Cool Blue, what do you think about that race? That seems to be the close one. This is the one where we need you the most. Who's coming out on top here?
I'm liking Chevalier a little bit better, but it's very, very close.
It's very close, but all right. So our guy is telling us, all right, this is our guy. This is who we go with. We go with you, Cool Blue. Our guy is telling us he likes Chevalier better.
I'm not God, because otherwise, if I was,
no, I said this is our guy. Our guy. I didn't say you were God.
Know, but I'm saying God, because if I was, we would all be a lot happier as a nation.
Well, we'd be a lot happier as a podcast. I could tell you that. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's right. Like I said, I go with what you say here, but it just seems there's more votes to be had in Manhattan than in the Bronx. And so if Manhattan is her stronghold, it seems like more remaining votes are going to come out of there. And so that's looking pretty good. One thing that looks not so good is, of course, and this was not unexpected, folks, just so everybody understands. This is why we advocated that Jose run as an independent for November. But Richie Torres, the worst of the worst, has been projected the winner of his primary. Jose Vega, 5.4% with an estimated 9,000 votes. Outstanding. So he was at about 2.4 points in the general election last year. Now you're running close to 6 points in the primary. And so Jose goes on to run an independent campaign in November. Michael Blake, I guess, is
we got to get that
Mamdani
Mamdani endorsement for.
He's got to get the Mamdani. Yeah, he's got to get that Mamdani endorsement against Richie Torres.
I think
key.
he should intervene on Mamdani. That's the path to the endorsement.
Yeah. Yell at Mamdani and say, "Yo, give me what do I got to do for an endorsement around here, you bitch?" You know.
I'm running against a guy who is more Zionist than Netanyahu.
Yeah.
What does it take?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, Torres is just as bad as Dan Goldman. He really is.
Worse.
Yeah. You could argue worse. You could certainly argue worse. But yeah, things are looking pretty interesting. Now, this is a race here that is getting a lot of attention in certain circles, not so much in ours because oops, sorry, that's the wrong page. Okay, so what district is this? But you talk about a horrible choice here. This is District 12. Okay, I'm going to pull this up right now here. District 12. You got this has been getting, like I said, some attention. This is the Schlossberg race. Now, Jack Schlossberg, big Israel guy, polling at 10%. This is an open seat as well. Michael Lasher versus Alex Boris. Now, you talk about a Sophie's choice. Michael Lasher is, I think, a former Michael Bloomberg aide.
Oh, wow.
Alex Boris is apparently a data researcher at Palantir.
Well, there's the Upper East Side, right?
Upper East and Upper West, I think.
All right. Well, hey, man, to be fair, our elected representatives are supposed to reflect their districts, and these candidates absolutely represent that district.
Yes, this is democracy in action, folks. Yes, that's where it is. So that's Upper East and Upper West Side. I think Michael Asher is significantly older than Boris, so I would say you would hope that he wins if you had to pick one, since he will not be.
How
in
long's he
Congress for as
got?
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to vote for. You got to hope the older guy wins, so that he'll be out of there sooner. That to me is the rationale there. But that is a very Upper East Side versus Upper West Side kind of race.
That district.
Yep.
In that district, it looks like 78% of the votes are in. This is a 12th. So 92,059 votes, according to what's reported. So that would look like there's about, I think, 26,000 votes. I ran a calculator, 92,059 divided by 0.78, 118,024 votes roughly. So you got about 26,000 votes left. And it looks to me like there's not enough for, how do you pronounce his name? To
Boris?
actually win the nomination.
Boris?
Schlossberg.
Oh, yeah, no, he is done. Yeah, I think Schlossberg was never really favored. I don't think Schlossberg ever really had much of a.
He'd have to get damn near 100% of the remaining votes.
Yeah, no, he seems like he's done. So at this point, what you got here, you got Zoran racking up 2 wins pretty quickly, pretty easily, right out of the gate. And now all eyes are on District 13. I mean, everything else has been pretty much settled here. And you have here Chevalier. See, the problem with her is she's got, not only does she have 3 names, but her first name is 2 names, Daria Liza. Daria Liza sounds like a full name. What's your name? Daria Liza.
I was gonna vote for her. I nodded off in the middle of reading her name. I wound up hitting the Espiat bubble, and then I was just like, I already marked it.
Daria Liza sounds like a full name. First name Daria, last name Liza. Not only is that not her full name, it's her first name, and then she's got 2 other names: Daria Liza Avilia Chevalier. That is a mouthful. That is really hard.
That's some Princess Bride shit right there.
Exactly. I just call her Chevalier. I don't love the DAC thing. I'm sure that'll catch on if she wins.
I am Daria Liza Avia Champagne. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is where it gets really interesting. So 72.5% of the Bronx is in. Those are low vote totals. Espiat running up a good margin there. Now, okay, we just moved again. Oh boy, she's opening up a lead now. Now she's up by 2.3. She's up by 2.3 with 77% in. Could it be a Mamdani sweep? Could it be a Zoran sweep? It's looking like Zoran in 5.
So why don't I go to the Daria Liza stuff that I prepared?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a good idea. All right, cool, Blue. I'm going to put you in the back for a few minutes. Thank you for your service, and we will be back with you shortly.
All right. So here's Daria Liza during the debate she had with Espiat when they were asked about whether or not what is happening in Israel is a genocide.
The question, do you believe Israel has committed genocide on the Palestinian people since the October 7th attacks? You're a yes.
Yes.
Do you believe that it was genocide?
It's a horrific situation in Gaza, unimaginable. Men, women, and children have been killed, innocent people, and whoever perpetrated that action should be held to the highest standard of accountability. It's horrific. And there are international entities that, like the United Nations and the International Court, that have established what it is.
The United Nations has called it a genocide.
I just realized I had that last, so I didn't load in all the videos. You want to take some super chats?
All right, yeah, let's do that. Sounds good. Virtuoso says, I just tagged you in a Twitter post. SBI getting hounded out in front of Harlem Hospital, rightfully so, for being a Dominican Joe Crowley. Jose Vega intervened on Espiat. That was one of his first ones, actually. Keaton, I think the blob was Downingtown, Pennsylvania. No, it's definitely Phoenixville. I'm 100% sure of that. I'm 100% sure that they filmed the movie theater there, at least. Maybe they filmed there too. But no, the Phoenixville, their whole town that's where the blob
is built around that.
Yeah, that's the whole town.
That's their whole economy.
Yes, that's their whole economy. I'm 100. You cannot confuse it. If you've been to Phoenixville, you will know that for a fact. Yes. No, it is Phoenixville. Maybe they filmed some of it in Downingtown as well. But yeah, Phoenixville was the location there, and it's a great town. It's very close to Philly. It's a Philly suburb. It's really nice. You should have governor candidate Larry Sharpe on. We've had Larry Sharpe on, I think, twice actually, or maybe once, and then we went on his. Oh yeah, no, Larry's a really cool guy. I like Larry Sharpe a lot. I like Larry Sharpe a lot. We had him on way back when on our show. We may have even had him on twice. I know or maybe we went on his once and he came on ours, but I know we've talked to him at least a couple times. Yeah, no, I would love to have Larry Sharpe on. Larry Sharpe is a really good dude. I like him a lot. Burhunk, love from Thailand this time. Cannot believe how gorgeous this country is. Oh, wow, you're in Thailand. There you go.
Oh, nice. What part?
Nice.
You can tell us later. Yeah. Can't really answer.
What part? Yeah. Tusker. Hey, Tusker. J.D. Vance's rehabilitation should be resisted root and branch by the working class. It's a fugazi. Don't fall for it, comrades. That's right. It's a fugazi. I think AOC and Tucker Carlson are the same trap for different mice. Change my mind. Huh. Good one. Good one. Thank you, Tusker. Appreciate that. Just let me know when you're ready. Scruffy Swampy. Okay, we'll do it after this one. I'm with you guys. Fuck JD. It's all a show. I'm in New Hampshire and may vote for Karishma Manzoor and Paige Bokomen. First time Dem vote in 10 years. Wow, that is... What's with these names this year? Nobody has normal names. Anybody with normal names running for Congress? Paige Bokomen and Karishma Mansour. Interesting. I thought this was America. This is what happens when you let too many immigrants
America.
in. Yeah.
Oh, it was America. It ruined Western civilization.
This is what happens when the borders get busted open by the Democrat Party.
That's
You
right.
get people running for office. You can't
They
even say
hate
their
white
names. They hate white people. They hate white people. Exactly. Even in New Hampshire, they hate white people now.
Yep. Yeah. Even in Maine.
Yeah, even in Maine.
Dwight Tucker wants Vance.
That's right. All right. Let's go on ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So you can clip that first part, right? Because I took out that video.
What do you mean clip
You
it?
can put them all together, right?
Yeah.
The genocide thing.
Yeah, the movie magic.
All right. So tomorrow on Jimmy's show, I have some exciting guests and kind of perfect because I have Mel. We'll talk about the latest Zionist berserk speeches. But I also have Blakely on to talk about the primary results. And I'm going to get more into this. So you've probably heard there's this meltdown because Zoran actually went on stage and talked about how AIPAC takes dark money and shadowy people move money around. He described AIPAC. So they're all pretend, oh my God, it's anti-Semitism, it's racism, it's tropes. So he was asked about this, and this was the answer that he gave. Sorry. Everything's kind of weird in here now. There we go. All right, now I know where we're at.
This is grade A broadcasting here,
including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the language you used at the rally last week, calling AIPAC monsters who move dark money. These are phrases that invoke old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories. What do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire. Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wishah, was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization that has been supportive of the status quo, that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept. And when it comes to the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money, by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election. And I think that it is important that when we ask ourselves how such death and destruction is happening overseas, we also name those who allow it to take place.
Sorry, we're gonna go.
So as somebody who has been very vocal in trying to shift the Overton window and the conversation on AIPAC, I think the best thing we could do is to take a popular mayor who's able to articulate that in a way that communicates it well to normies, and I think we should disown him. I think we should try to kneecap him, and because he's a Democrat and because he kept Jessica Tisch. I think we should write this guy off. I think we're doing perfectly fine typing stuff on various platforms and
Well, he's also a
watching
loser.
various shows. Yeah, he's a loser.
He's obviously a loser.
You don't want.
He's ice cold. He's
well,
cold.
no. This is the thing. He's a winner, and this happened. Actually, God rest his soul, man. This happened to an old friend of mine. Man, he was a teenager, and he had been like smoking weed since he was a kid. And he cleaned himself up, as often happens when you get a hot-looking girlfriend. So he got a hot girlfriend. So he got on a whole health kick. He freaking died of an aneurysm, man. So this would be my fear. If the left movement were to start winning, they might die of a collective aneurysm. It would be such a shock to the system that they might not be able to handle it.
That's right.
So don't connect to somebody that people like. That would be terrible for the movement. So, hey, this is why AIPAC and co are pouring enormous amounts of money into these races, particularly my local race, Espeot. On Friday, United Democracy Project, AIPAC Super PAC, disclosed that it poured $650,000 last month into Bold America, a super PAC that has spent at least $2.8 million, $600,000 in May, and $2.2 million in June to oppose Avia Chevalier. See, they solved it. They're just like, yeah, we're not even dealing with the Daria Lizard part. That's whatever.
Right.
Your mama can call you that.
Yeah,
we're calling you
Chevalier.
Avia Chevalier.
Yep.
And support Espeot. And then from Drop Site, a surge of last-minute support from major pro-Israel donors including AIPAC's former president, Bob Cohen, has flooded into the campaign of Representative Adriano Espaillat, who faces a formidable primary challenge from local community organizer Daria Liza Avila Chevalier in New York's 13th congressional district. If she gets elected, they're just going to settle on DAC. On a single day, June 4th, 2026, Espaillat raised just under $112,000 from 69 wealthy donors at an average of $1,623 per contribution. Not a single donor listed an address inside Espaillat's district, which encompasses Harlem and surrounding areas, and 48 of the donors have also given large amounts of money to the American Israel Public Affairs Committee since 2023. That number goes up to 67 out of the 69 contributors if you include donations to AIPAC adjacent organizations like Democratic Majority for Israel and the Republican Jewish Coalition. At least 44 of the new Espaillat donors have given heavily to Republicans. And I showed you, yo, man, I've been getting these every freaking day. I've been getting these flyers every day. That's where that money's going. So Espaillat's voters are nothing if not charming. This is the kind of harassment Daria Liza for New York is experiencing on a daily basis. So this was her and her mother. She went to go early vote, and this was what happened.
Get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out of here!
That was very New York. Get the fuck out of here! Get out of here! Yeah, no, well, that's how you win votes. Shauna Morlock, the guy in the rain parka is Raul Rivera, who bit a female Zoran volunteer last year. I remember that. Both of these men are unhinged and should not be allowed to be around any political events. Shame on Espaillat for inviting the support of these men who abuse women. Shame. Yeah, I don't think he really cares. So at another event, she kept getting called a Haitian, which she is half Haitian. And this Pastor Ben, tell me how a Democrat shouting she's Haitian is morally better than Republicans shouting they're eating the cats and the dogs. Please tell me. I can't, my friend, because I agree with you.
Machine. And as you can tell, we have pissed a lot of people. By proving that people are hungry for a politic that actually serves.
Yeah, hey, when you see these protests against Mamdani, what are they screaming? Mamdani can go back to Uganda! Yeah. Go back to Uganda! All right, so she addressed some of this in a video she dropped last night.
I wish I didn't have to make this video, but there is hatred brewing against me that I cannot stay silent about. In the final days of this campaign, I have been hit with attacks that use Haitian as a slur, a coordinated wave of Islamophobia, lies about my identity, my faith, and my family. Espaillat supporters are standing at poll sites in our district shouting lies and slinging racial slurs. People are reaching out to my family, demanding to see my birth certificate, a tired, racist trope that every Black leader who dares to challenge power knows all too well. We saw a similar campaign last year when Andrew Cuomo and his allies attacked Mayor Mamdani over his faith. And we all watched Donald Trump run his racist birther campaign against President Barack Obama. So I have to ask, why is a supposed progressive congressman following the same steps as defamed electeds like Cuomo and Trump. He's not new to this. This is what he does. Espaillat and his machine have resurfaced and carried out this playbook time and time again, and I, quite frankly, refuse to allow it to continue to happen. He did this to Charlie Rangel by claiming that his Latino supporters were traitors to the Latino community, and they did it to Senator Robert Jackson, another black man, for daring to run in what they called a Dominican district.
This is what I'm saying. This I think is in her favor because this is true. And I think she's able to channel a lot of that anger from that community.
I am proudly Dominican. I am a proud black woman. I am a proud Muslim woman running for Congress in a district that is home to black and Caribbean and Dominican families who have built this community together for generations. And the smear campaign against me is not politics.
All right. So Brianna Joy Gray pointed out here the fact that no black or Latino organization from the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, to the NAACP is willing to defend Daria Liza against this Zionist establishment harassment campaign speaks volumes about the limits of identity politics versus the power of moneyed interest. Brianna, you know, as the years go by, we're going to meet in the middle. You're coming around. That's what I've been saying for a long time. Let's get together. Let's talk about Robin DiAngelo a little more. Yeah, man. That's it. That's it. In the end, birds of a feather. That's obvious. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus, man. You'll do a worse group of sellouts to their communities you won't find anywhere else. Same thing with Espaillat as the chairman of the Congressional Latino Caucus. I'm not sure which name they got. I think they go by Latino still. Yeah, same thing. I mean, in the end, it's just the machine. It's just establishment Democrats with an identity politics face on it. They're not going to call out their own member for this behavior. They're not going to call him out for that. But if she wins, that'll be a pretty amazing victory because this is the one they really poured their money into. This is the one that the groups really converged on. They really hate her, as you can see.
Yeah, and for that reason, this is the closest of the three races where Mamdani made an endorsement. The other two were, landslide victories for his endorsee, but her margin is small but growing as these votes come in. 83.5% in. She's at 49.4. Espaillat is at 45.9.
I mean, that looks like a win to me. I'd be surprised.
It looks.
If you only got 17% of the vote left.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for her. Let's bring in Cool Blue. Cool Blue, you want to unmute your microphone? Any updated projection from Cool Blue on this? So she's got about a 2,000 and change vote margin here. It looks like Espaillat's on pace to net less than 1,000 more votes out of the Bronx because the Bronx is 86% in and he's netted 2,300. So what is it? You get 14% more. You talk about he's going to net another 400 out of the Bronx, assuming those percentages hold more or less. But then it looks like she's going to net, quite a few more out of Manhattan. That's 83% in. That's where most of the votes are coming in. And she seems to be winning fairly handily there.
Well, I ran the math, and it looked like about 75,500 votes would come for this, total votes cast. And you have Oscar Romero receiving 3.5%, so she could win this nomination with just 49% of the vote, about 37,000 votes. And right now she's 49.4%, and it's basically Manhattan that's, bolstering her chances. 83% of the vote is in Manhattan, 86% of the vote in the Bronx, where Espaillat leads by 28 points. Chevalier leads in Manhattan by 8 points. So she's probably going to get quite close to 50%. It might read 49 decimal point, whatever the last digit. He's struggling for 46%, Espaillat, while Romero has just a little over 3%. So I think she's going to get the nomination. And I did a little thing at X. Kelchi Politics now says about 33 minutes ago, 79% chance that Chevalier wins the primary, and about 91% that all three Mamdani endorsed candidates end up with nominations, winning the primaries.
Well, yeah, I mean, two are in the bank already. Two are in the bag already. So this would be a clean sweep, and like Russell said, I mean, if he sweeps, there's gonna be major
Oh my God,
Zio panic because he'll have taken over New York City politics, basically. I mean, at that point, he is
the whole congressional delegation.
He's the king of New York at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, he's now the kingmaker here. And so, yeah, that is going to be quite the meltdown that you're going to see. And yeah, this race, to go back to Russ's segment, this was a race where he had all the institutional advantage. He also seems to have had, I don't know what the numbers are, but based on what Russ is saying in terms of just flyering and marketing, he seems to have had a significant dollar advantage, like a major money advantage.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Literally the only advertising I have seen from her are those posters around the corner for me. That's it.
Yeah. So it's looking
Not one
good.
mailer. Not one.
Yeah. So it's looking pretty good for her. And, this is something that, you could never imagine seeing really until the Mamdani victory. I mean, you saw some restlessness within the Democratic Party base, in primary elections here and there. But you have not seen such consistent repudiation of long-time establishment figures, whether it's Vasquez in the 7th district, who gives her blessing to this guy, Reynoso, whatever the fuck is it, guy gets clobbered.
Which honestly surprised me.
Yeah. I mean, he got clobbered. I mean, that's not even close. I mean, Valdez is now at 57 to his 35. I mean, that's just a wipeout. You got Dan Goldman, another wipeout. I mean, he's struggling to get a third of the vote in his district there. And now you have what looks to be a major upset. It has now been declared. Look at that. NBC News has declared, wow, Daria Liza Avilia Chevalier from this day forward will be known as DAC, since she will now be the congresswoman from New York's 13th district.
All right. Since it's my district, I'll give her a prayer bell. My soon-to-be new congresswoman.
Russell Dobular's new congresswoman, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, has defeated one of the real New York institutional politicians in Adriano Espaillat. Jose Vega. I remember Jose did the intervention on Espaillat. It was one of the first pieces of video he sent me when we did the documentary about him. Espaillat starts, talking about Ukraine. Jose challenges him on Victoria Nuland, and now Espaillat is sent into retirement. Wow, that is
nice.
Pretty amazing.
And this is really a defeat for AIPAC. They spent huge money on this guy, on this race.
That is pretty amazing that Zoran Mamdani, with a clean sweep, 3 for 3 in terms of his endorsements here.
I thought he would do Daria Liza and Lander. I was much more iffy about Brooklyn, but it turned out this was the more competitive one.
Yo, you talk about being on a roll, man. Holy shit. This guy fucking comes in, fucking Knicks win the championship. First time in 53 years. Now he goes 3 for 3 in these endorsements against these, very entrenched figures and forces. This guy is fucking hot, man. This guy is on some kind of run here. Wow. That is an amazing thing to see. Cool Blue. Any thoughts?
Well, somebody just said in the live chat that Jose Vega is Cool Blue. First of all,
Jose Vega's cold blue.
Respect to Jose, but he and I look nothing alike, and I'm double his age. I'm 55 years old come this August. I have the same birthday as Keaton's wife, Amanda, August 16.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so
I'm both impressed and a little freaked out that you remembered that.
Well, it's the day that Elvis Presley died in
Oh.
1977 and Aretha
wow.
Franklin in 2018.
Then again, you remember everything. You're a numbers guy. You don't forget anything.
August 16th?
Yeah. Elvis in
why-
1977, Aretha in 2018, Madonna born that day in 1958, and yet I have no musical ability.
Well, I know the day Elvis died.
Seems like everything happened on August 16th. Now I have to ask Amanda if that's actually her birthday, if she made it up.
And
Because it's a
Elvis was
historically
born
significant day.
January 8th, same day as David Bowie.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So where were we? Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. That's all right. No, thoughts on this race here?
Oh, on
Yeah.
Chevalier?
Yeah. That's a big win.
You know, given the fact that I live in Michigan and a leading bellwether state to go with Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, I have not voted in a primary on the Democratic side in a while, and I'm going to vote the 2026 Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate to Abdul El-Sayed. I'm more and more encouraged by this because I absolutely find Haley Stevens repulsive. She's the one with big AIPAC. And Mallory McMorrow is in between. And I think El-Sayed is going to win the nomination in advance of the general election.
Yeah, he's the other one who's getting kind of press now.
Yeah,
for going after AIPAC.
AIPAC is going to go after him, and I think they're going to fail.
You think they're going to fail? Do you think he's going to win
turning
the general
point,
election?
man.
Yeah, Michigan has not elected anyone to a Republican to the U.S. Senate in a midterm since 1994. That was Spence Abraham when the Republicans had their wave on the watch of Bill Clinton. In 1972 was the last year in a presidential election. Michigan elected a Republican in the U.S. Senate. Robert P. stands for Paul. Robert P. Griffin. In the year Richard Nixon was reelected with 49 states. Griffin got unseated by Carl Levin in 1978. And that is the very seat on the schedule, Senate Class Number 2 in Michigan, that I think El-Sayed will be the next U.S. Senator from Michigan. It's my feeling, and this happening in New York, I think that it's going to pick up in Colorado. Their primaries next week, the 1st District, Diane DeJette, I'm not sure the pronunciation. That's Denver area. She was first elected in 1996. And she's primary challenged and may get defeated in her bid for renomination. It's a hotly contested race, and I'm getting the feeling it might happen. So what's happening here in New York may happen in Colorado, may happen in Michigan. It's happening in more and more states where, I don't know if I want to call them upstarts, are actually getting in and taking down some incumbents who, quite frankly, ready to go.
It makes sense. You know, I was hanging out with my friend James, who drives an Uber. He used to, in the early days of the show, he used to come on once in a while, but we've been friends since high school. And you know, he's getting really fucked. All these drivers are getting fucked because these companies are squeezing them harder and harder. So it used to be when gas prices went up, they would compensate you for that. They don't do that anymore. And now they're doing like the dynamic pay, where they know who will take a lower fare and the AI will offer it lower. So just all kinds of things. So, you know, he, for obvious reasons, has not really been sympathetic to the third party argument. And I said to him, look, I take responsibility. I never had any illusions that Donald Trump was not going to victimize people that Kamala wouldn't. Which does not mean Kamala would have been great. I'm not saying that. But yeah, man, like, do I think people would have been getting shot in the head by ICE with Kamala? No. Do I think she would have defunded it? No. But I don't think that would have happened. My theory of politics, and I think a lot of people who made that choice, was if you keep voting for them, no matter what they do, you will never have any leverage, A. And B, if she loses, it's going to break the libs. It's going to break them. It happened. And you're seeing the results. Now that was an ends justify the means choice. That was a ruthless strategic decision. And make no mistake, if you did make that decision, you made an ends justify the means decision. And people got hurt because of that decision. Don't fucking tell me, oh, it's the same. No, it's not. You know it. You know, man. You know that. Freaking what was her name? Renee Good, who got shot out there. Right. She'd be alive today if Kamala had been the president. And I've been saying Kamala is a psychopath for as long as we've had a show. It's not an endorsement, but come on, man. Like nobody could seriously say you didn't understand what the difference would be if Trump became president. This is the result. And I personally, I'm not going to lie and pretend I don't know what the consequences of that decision were. I'm going to take responsibility. I say it was worth it. Now we're in a phase where when people get caught up in a certain way of thinking about politics, it becomes, hey, Cool Blue, you're old enough, man. You remember the Little Rascals?
Well, I didn't watch him much, but I remember a lot of other people my age did look back at him and watch him.
He remembers the exact date of every season premiere, though, even though he didn't watch it.
There was an episode called the He-Man Woman Haters Club. And, basically they all had that club. And, you had to hate women. We're the He-Man Woman Haters Club. That's what a lot of the post-Bernie, post-duopoly left remind me of, the He-Man Woman Haters Club. If you were willing to make an ends justify the means choice that fucking killed people with ICE, that literally killed people with ICE, don't lie about it. Like I take responsibility for that. And I still say I think my choice was justified. Then why is it a bridge too far to cheer on somebody like Mamdani? Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? I think this is a moment that is very confusing for a lot of people. Because on the one hand, how the Democratic Party sheepdogs people into the party and then gradually makes you accept more and more shit with a, don't worry, long game, and then before you know it, you're AOC, right? But at the same time, if your argument is, I'm not going to vote for them because if they know if they can get my vote no matter what, I'll never have any leverage. What happens when that leverage starts to bear fruit and you have candidates who adopt your policies? Like, do you kneecap them? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, that's not what I did it for. I did it to get this result that you see tonight. That was the purpose of doing that.
Yeah, I mean those are a lot of really interesting points there. For me personally, I didn't think beyond, okay, I'm not going to vote to rubber stamp a genocide. Like, I'm not going to vote to rubber stamp a Holocaust, that's as far as I looked into it, honestly. And I don't regret my choice either. I mean, I don't. Did I think this Trump term would be as bad as it is? No, I didn't. And I don't think most people did. But I didn't think that far in advance. I just thought, if you vote to rubber stamp, yeah, exactly. If you vote to rubber stamp a Holocaust, then what wouldn't you vote for, right? But no, I mean, look, those are very well-founded points, I think. So I won't really add to them or expand on them much. I think they kind of speak for themselves, but I think, this period that we've seen is very much the period in Republican politics post 2008 with the formation of the Tea Party, which is where you saw that momentum kind of start.
Right,
You start to see, guys like Eric Cantor lose their seats, right, to these upstart radicals in the party.
And all the leftists envied them, right? We all said, oh, if only we had that. So then you get that, you're gonna be like, well, but they're Democrats.
Well, but then in addition to that, so then after Romney lost, that's when the Trump movement really began, and Donald Trump was the next nominee. In other words, as the party base became more desperate, they became more ornery, whereas, and that's a new dynamic in left of center politics. And the reason I say left of center politics is because I don't consider the Democrats a left party, but left of what passes for center in America, right? Okay.
Right, sure.
So, we could just use that as a shorthand. You've seen as Democrats become more desperate, they cling to those establishment figures. That's what happened post 2016 into the 2018 midterms, into 2020 when they all were scared straight enough to go and vote for Joe Biden. Things had to get really dire for them to turn on the party establishment that really ushered this era in. And that seems to be what's happening now. Is any of this enough? No, but people say you can't vote your way out of it. I always say that is a somewhat meaningless phrase in the sense that you never vote your way out of anything. I mean, the UAW union members just voted to divest from Israel. That's where all of this stuff happens. It all happens in your communities and in your workplaces and stuff like that. So the idea that you can't vote your way out of this, that's a meaningless thing to say. Right. That is a straw man, because that implies that there are that our argument is that you can vote your way out of it. No, you can't vote your way out of anything. You know what you really can't do? You can't podcast your way out of it either. You can't tweet your way out of it either. You know what I mean? That's even more useless than voting, is tweeting your way out of it or podcasting your way out of it. No, you can only organize your way out of it. And right. you can organize your personal life, through voluntary choices. That's what our friend Derek Brose talks a lot about, and I think very inspiring fashion. That's why I'm a big fan of his, and I was glad we could bring him on the show finally while Russ was away. And then you have, organizations like the African People's Socialist Party, which do this amazing community work, very constructive, peaceful, loving work, health clinics, community gardens, building housing, building recreation center for recreational facilities for kids. And then you have unions and you have workers who, will organize at their place of work in order to better their own lives and in order to express solidarity with people around the world in moments where they can. And that's really all you can do. And that goes far beyond voting. And so I think there's a lot of straw manning going on in certain circles when people, chide people who vote by saying, well, you can't vote your way. Well, nobody's saying you can. Nobody said that. Right. Doesn't mean the fact that you can't vote your way out of it doesn't mean there's no difference between Zohran Mamdani being mayor of New York City and Andrew Cuomo being mayor of New York City.
Of course.
It's a non sequitur.
Right? What would Cuomo be doing right now? He would be talking about more funding for anti-Semitism policing. That's what he would be doing right now.
And none of these candidates would have won. None of these candidates would have won.
Right.
Maybe, I don't even think Lander would have won because Mamdani would have been a dead thing. So his endorsement wouldn't have meant anything. Right. So now you got
and you would have demoralized the activists.
Right. Exactly.
No, it's true.
Right, of course.
Wouldn't have all these people who showed up.
No, they wouldn't have been going out. Exactly. Right. Exactly. 100%. So you'd have had Dan Goldman in there still. You'd have had Espiat in there still. Now you get, you get a Knicks championship and 3 Congress people out of this so far. So I think so far it's paid pretty good dividends. Has it been a perfect tenure? No, it has not. Nobody said it would be. Nobody said it would be. But I think you can look back at this year, and it's been about 1 year since Mamdani won the primary because the New York primaries are in June, right? You can look back at this year, at least in New York, and you have to say, if you're being objective, that it has paid off quite a bit in this past year.
Well, this is another thing. A lot of people, I think, myself included, frankly, expected him to get in and bend the knee. He really didn't. Look what he did here, man. He endorsed a bunch of candidates against establishment figures that endorsed him.
Right. He burned Espiat bad because
he burned Espiat. and he burned Vasquez too.
Yeah.
Vasquez actually and Reynoso, Espaillat didn't endorse him until the actual election. During the primary, he endorsed Cuomo. So he, you could just say that's an astute politician seeing which way the wind is blowing and wanting to be on the winning team. The other, Reynoso and Vasquez endorsed him in the primary, and he ran a candidate against them.
Right.
Now, that's the kind of thing that I thought you'd want to see, right? Like that is that what, if he hadn't done that, see, he's establishment. Like, you can't blame this guy for going to Hochul, who controls the state budget, without which none of his policies can be enacted, and make a nice with her. What the fuck you want him to do? Like, what else can he do to actually get free buses to get these grocery stores? You need that funding from the state to do that. But what you saw in this election is where he could stick his thumb in their eye. He did.
Right.
And that was a big risk, man. That was a big risk, because if this had not worked, now he would have made enemies out of all these people.
Right. Exactly. Jazzy Armad says, don't do something you see as useless. Why have a podcast then, Keaton? It has value. You are devaluing it. No, I'm not saying it has no value. I'm not saying it has no value.
It's all of the above to me.
But
it's all of the above.
Yeah.
Like if you're an activist, particularly if you're talking about you're an activist trying to stop a genocide, what will you not do to stop a genocide? Like, it's okay to make a choice that is probably going to get Donald Trump elected and everything that entails, but you can't throw some support to a Muslim mayor of arguably the most visible city on the planet, who is doing a very good job of breaking the power of AIPAC, not only on the ground, but in people's minds. Once people don't see AIPAC as invincible anymore, more and more people will speak out against it. That's a bridge too far. Like that ends justify the means doesn't apply there.
Right.
Like, it's become a Democrat. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, I can't even imagine. I still hate most of those people. But my eye is on what I'm trying to accomplish, and I don't really care. It's like, look, when I used to direct, you ever deal with actors? I always think of the line in The Producers when he says, "You can't kill the actors; they're people." And Zero Mostel says, "You ever eaten with one?" Exactly. When I directed, I wanted to punch a lot of the actors in the mouth, but my eye was on what I was trying to do. What I was trying to do always took priority over how I felt.
Right.
How I felt was irrelevant.
Well, that's
how you have to approach politics.
Yeah, that goes to what I'm talking about podcasting, right? It's obviously, to Jezzy's point, it's a good point. I mean, why do something you think has no value? No, I do think it has value, but I think there is value to be sought and pursued beyond just being correct in your takes online. Like, this is a business of takes. You're only as good as your last take. Like in the mob, you're only as good as your last envelope. You're only as good as your last take. And there are goals and strategies that transcend what the right take is. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, and I'll use an example from both sides of the aisle here so that either no one can melt down or everybody can melt down equally, okay? Mm-hmm. We backed Thomas Massie to the extent we covered that race when AIPAC came for Thomas Massie. And we got some resistance, not much, not nearly as much as we get when we do things like this, but some saying, Thomas Massie is a libertarian, he's pro-Doge, he's, anti-immigrant, what are you backing this guy? He's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And my response to them was my exact response to people who have a litany of valid critiques of a guy like Plattner. How could you back this guy? Look at this point.
Mm-hmm.
My answer to both is I really don't care what you think about Thomas Massie or Graham Plattner. I really don't give a shit. It's really not important
You're right.
what my take is on them as people.
Right.
Okay, like I can criticize them, and I can get you to hate them, and you can think of how based I am for tearing Graham Plattner a new asshole for this, this, and this. But what does that actually do in the world? It does nothing. It does nothing. That's what I mean when I say you can't podcast your way out of it. Not that what we say has no value, but that those kind of takes in context of a forward-moving chain of events, they don't do anything. They just don't. It's not real in that sense.
Right.
And what is real is that AIPAC is coming after this guy. They're trying to ruin him for a very specific reason. If you let them ruin him because you don't like him, well, then you're doing AIPAC a favor. I saw a guy tweet, and I considered making a slideshow out of this, but I didn't want to single anybody out, especially because I wanted to. It's not a high-profile person. I don't even know if it is a person for that matter. It's one of these, accounts with no name on it, right? They literally said, I hope, and I'm paraphrasing slightly and going off memory, but I promise this is almost exactly to the word what they said. I hope the Israel lobby crushes Brad Lander because he's a liberal Zionist, this and mealy mouth, this and that. And, as comptroller, he had the city invest in Israeli systems. Okay, so the first half of that sentence there, I hope the Israel lobby crushes Brad Lander. That is the only part of that sentence that's real. Your reason for wanting the Israel lobby to crush Brad Lander doesn't matter. I guarantee you the Israel lobby doesn't care what your reasoning is. They don't, in other words, they don't care what your take is. They don't care what you think. They don't give a flying fuck what you think. And it's not just because you're an anonymous ex-user. They don't give a fuck what we think. They don't give a fuck what people with 50 times our audience thinks. They care if they can impose their will on the political process. That is all they give a shit about. So if you are someone who's pro-Palestine and you're out there saying the words, I hope the Israel lobby crushes Brad Lander, then you are a friend of the Israel lobby for all intents and purposes. That is how they see you. Here's the actual text from the quote. I hope the AIPAC lobby crushes Brad Lander. I've just seen the most recent video of Brad Lander with Ms. Rachel, and it is disgusting. She is telling him all about the genocide that he invested millions in while he nods and agrees as if he's not directly responsible. So the rest of that take is about how Brad Lander, I guess as comptroller, had the city invest in Elbit systems, which of course is terrible. Of course it's awful. But that's your take. The Israel lobby doesn't give a shit what your take is. They don't. They don't. No one cares what anybody's take is. They care what they can get done in the world. And you're either going to fight them or you're going to come up with reasons not to fight them. And that's it. That's it. Your reason for doing what you're doing does not matter to anybody but you and a clique of people online who either give you the dopamine hit that you seek when they smash the like button and retweet you with the 100s and the this and the that, or they don't. And if that is your metric of success, then you're going to keep losing just as hard as you've been losing these past 10 years. And I shouldn't say you, I should say we, because we've been losing. We have nothing to show for anything that we've done. Nothing in the real world. Nothing to zero.
Well, I mean, I would argue that activists who refused to back the Democratic Party establishment is what finally broke the libs hard enough that at the very least, this you very often see this in partisan elections where one side is demoralized because they're not into their candidate. They just don't show up. I don't know that the libs are coming out and voting for Mamdani, but I know we suppressed their turnout. I think you got enough of them that said, you know what, I guess I was wrong, even though they'll never admit it. And then you got enough that say, I don't like anybody and stay home. Right. That's what we accomplished. That's what I'm saying. Like, why would you not want to take credit for this? We've been working at this for 10 fucking years. Is it everything you would want? No, but I mean, it never is, right? Like, even if you got the revolution that you think you want, it wouldn't be what you think it's going to be. So that's a whole other question. But you're so far from that why would you not take credit for your part in it? So yeah, to answer what you're saying, Jesse, yeah, I do think what we do is important. And I say this as much as we're angry with Sanders or have written him off. For my personal political evolution, I will always credit the Sanders campaign with getting across to me, it's not all about you. You're part of a collective effort to accomplish a certain goal. So you do what you can. You don't not get involved because you can't personally get it done. That's the whole point of solidarity. That's the whole point of collective action. And I think a lot of people don't get into politics because they say, well, it's too big. I can't solve it. Well, yeah, you're right. That's why you join with other people. And having a platform like this, yeah, I do feel like it encourages people and gives people a place to go to bond and to clarify their political project.
Of course.
But that's also why we're ruthlessly and relentlessly honest, which doesn't mean we're always right. Sometimes we're just wrong, but when we're wrong, we're honestly wrong. I had somebody say on the Obama video, somebody commented, the one we just did, we don't go over that territory much these days because they're not in power. They were in power, we would. They're not in power. Why would we cover that? But somebody said, a rare return of the due dissidents that could have been in the top 5 to 10 of political shows. And I responded to it. I said, yeah, but okay, do you realize that the shows that just tell you what you want to hear are lying to you? They have no respect for you. They're just looking at the numbers and they know what you want to hear. Like, that's not, why would you want that?
Right.
But that is, in terms of like dopamine hits, yeah, that's where the money is, to just feed people a narrative. I mean, especially being on this side of it, I watch other people who do this, and it's so obvious to me where they're making decisions about how they're going to juice their numbers and not alienate parts of their audience. And hey, it's a people like grape drink better than grape juice, it is what it is. But we didn't come into this the way I think most people in this space do. They're already media or politics professionals, and this is a career move. For us, we were activists who fell ass backwards into doing this professionally. That's a very different perspective. The whole origin was coming from a different place. I never, and I don't think Keaton ever thought this is what we would do professionally.
No. And I don't want to take too much credit. I was never much an activist as much as a shit talker. Yeah, I was more a shit talker, but I guess that was my activism.
That was your activism.
Shit all night. That was my contribution to the cause.
And we decided to talk shit together.
Exactly. $1 Million Trooper. MASH was a Korean War drama. It only vibes Vietnam War. Thank you, $1 Million Trooper. Appreciate that. So hey, Cool Blue, why don't you turn on your mic? Hey, it was an easy night for you tonight, my friend, because these races were all called. But thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you. As always, feel free to hang out back there and watch the rest of the show in StreamYard. But everybody follow Cool Blue on Twitter at CoolBlue71 for the most accurate predictions. He called it again. He said right away he likes their chances, and there you go, boom.
Well, good night to everybody, and take good care.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank
You're
you,
welcome.
man. We'll be back for the next one. We got to bring you on from Michigan. That's August 4th, so that's a month and a half away. So maybe between now and then, but definitely
3 days before my birthday.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, man. Have a great night. Appreciate you.
A good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
You got it. Cool Blue, everybody. Round of applause in the chat. P. Walker, who's going to call in the 911 welfare check for Bill Ackman? Not me. Haha. Good one, P. Walker. Appreciate that. V. Nettlesbaum. Halo, DD. Been tuned out for a few weeks because, life happens. Must salute your dedication to keeping the podcast fire burning. Hope all is well and world peace has been achieved. Kudos. Thank you, V. Nettlesbaum. Doesn't feel like you've been gone that long, V. Nettlesbaum. Virtuoso, just to let you know, there's not a warhead that Richie Torres would use as a sex toy. Huh? Good one. Cha-cha daddy. North Korea is broadcasting World Cup for free. I'm not watching it because I can't afford a streaming service. I know Russ doesn't get sports, but what the fuck? Are you going to go to North Korea to watch the World Cup? That would be dedication.
I keep wanting to get to this story, man. There have been all these stories about how their economy is booming there.
And that's right. That's right. Ravid Laz, when Keaton runs for POTUS, you got the perfect campaign slogan that'll win you the election slide. Fuck you and fuck the country. Thank you, Ravid Laz. Appreciate that. Plot twist, Mamdani converts to Judaism. Huh?
No, it would be the real plot twist if his wife did.
Yeah, exactly. Cha-cha daddy, based on tonight's chat, you guys need a Daryl Cooper segment, cleansing. Maybe tonight's show is that. I don't know. I haven't been watching the chat too much. I've been juggling all the screens. How do people like this, the chat? Noah Goop, guy named Schlossberg, is a Zionist preposterous. Ha, good one. Thank you, Noah Goop.
I mean, look, there's a balance. It's not my personal rule has all right. So Keaton, he doesn't give a shit. For me, I will block you if you're just like a troll. Like if you're just like a ad hominem attacks, kind of relentlessly like disruptive. If you have like legitimate political disagreements, that's fair. It's a political show.
Right.
You
know. Let's see here. What we got going on here? Ravid Laz. Also, I think you're spot on. Trump won't make it to year's end, but I don't think it'll be resignation. He might croak. Maybe be the 2-footer Miriam's going to use if he doesn't bomb Iran again. Virtuoso Mamdani is putting up Jalen Brunson numbers. He really is. He really is. I mean, that guy is just unstoppable. Lee NYC, APAC lit hundreds of thousands of dollars on fire. Yep.
Millions.
That way. Yeah.
Millions between all three races. Millions.
Yeah. Yep. Didn't Haley Stevens say Israel comes to her in her dreams? Yeah, she did. She did. She's like completely tanked now. It's between him and the Libby woman. What's her name? McMorrow? Yeah. Between Al Sayed and McMorrow. Mondani wins again. APAC Zionist 9. Thank you. Appreciate that, Andy Gardner. Eric Rousseau, I couldn't support Kamala because I couldn't reward genocide, even though Trump was going to continue it. I mean, that was our thing. Absolutely. Z Zishan, thanks for the $9.99. Congrats to all anti-Zionist candidates in New York City. Well, Lander is not an anti-Zionist candidate. Lander is, but you look at a guy like Lander, and once again, what you think of Lander, it just seems kind of irrelevant when you look at, you just ask yourself, okay, is there a meaningful difference between the guy who says end aid to Israel and Dan Goldman? Yes, there is. Like, yeah, there is. Like, you don't have to don't. We didn't promote Lander's campaign at all. Zero. We did not one segment on him. We did not cover any rallies of his.
Nor have we.
Nor this other one. I don't even know her name.
With Graham Plantner.
I don't even know her name. Can't even say who she is.
People keep talking about shit he's done. I don't know, man. Like, if I were going to promote his campaign, I would look into it. I don't care because I'm not invested in Graham Plantner. I'm not,
Right.
But when I'm covering a story about it, or Keaton is, I mean, obviously, yeah, AIPAC's not coming at this guy like that for no reason.
No. I wasn't invested in Donald Trump when I was saying how Russiagate was bullshit. Like a smear, it's a smear, and you got to, take that on, right? All right. Let's move right on along here. Let's just go first. A quick word from our friends here at Rumble Wallet. So, quick question for you all. How much control do you have over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. And Rumble is getting in the game with Rumble Wallet, taking this new economy mainstream. This is not hype. It's where things are going. And getting started today is easier than you think. With the Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stable coins, even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. It's a non-custodial crypto wallet, which means you, not a bank or a platform, controls access to your funds. Setup here is simple. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, your credit card, or your bank account and be up and running in minutes. And for a limited time, you could start your wallet with $10 in U.S. stablecoin by downloading the Rumble wallet and entering our exclusive promo code DUE10. That's D-U-E, like the show, 10, when you sign up now. And when you do, the best part of this is you can use that Rumble wallet to send us some Rumble rants. And when you do that, the platform takes 0 fees. So it's a great way to support the creator economy here on Rumble. So scan the QR code now, click the link in the description, or go to wallet.rumble.com/DD and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set that wallet up, enter that promo code I mentioned, DUE10, that's DUE10, to get your $10 in U.S. stablecoin. It's a limited time offer, so act now, take control of your money, and get started with the Rumble Wallet today by scanning that QR code, or once again, going to wallet.rumble.com/DD. See, I said slash. See, for the ad reads, I don't even say front slash. I try to say slash. I try to get it right. I try to get it technically correct. I know front slash is a pet peeve that a lot of people have, but that's the professionalism that I bring to this. I bring to the craft here. Yeah.
Virgins.
All right.
I see virgins.
All right, let's move right on along. I want to do this piece now that Mamdani has swept.
Do it up.
Yeah, this is a primary night sweep, and then we'll do Starmer, and then we'll call it a show. I think that sounds about right. All right. So Zohran Mamdani has gone 3 for 3 in his big endorsements of the night. Brad Lander, Claire Valdez, and Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier have all won their primaries in New York.
No, you got
City.
it. You don't even live here.
Well, I read it. I read it off the screen now. I brought it up on the second window. I cheated. I wanted to make sure I nailed it for the clip. So he went 3 for 3 in his endorsements. And, people compare Mamdani to AOC, and they say, well, what's the difference between Zohran Mamdani and AOC? Well, one difference in this context is that AOC famously sat out the congressional primaries. She did not endorse any of these challengers. Instead, AOC endorsed Tisha James in the 11th hour. Tish James tweets out, "My friend AOC and I never back down. We deliver. We're in this fight together."
You deserve an attorney general who has the courage to fight for you. And that's Letitia James.
I've spent my career going after people who thought they were above the law.
And when corporations ripped off working people,
we made them pay more than $9 billion for the people of this great state.
And when guns flooded our streets and threatened our lives,
we took nearly 10,000 of them off of our streets. And we need leaders in Washington who will stand up for our neighbors. When the director of ICE came after AOC for doing her job, she had one answer.
Bring it on, because no one is going to stop us from defending our rights and our communities. Not Donald Trump, not the lobbyists, not anyone.
That's the AOC I know, a leader who delivers, bringing back millions in federal dollars to our neighborhoods.
Since getting elected, I've secured nearly $50 million for the Bronx and Queens.
We will continue to protect our communities, lower costs, and help working families
one handy
prosper.
at a time.
Vote June 23rd.
There you go. Vote June 23rd. That was her endorsement. Here's Tish James at the Israel Day Parade this year. Completely mum on the DSA slate, but decides to go out on an AIPAC favorite. Is AOC slow motion morphing into Joe Crowley? I would say not so slow motion. Yeah, there she is at the Israel Day Parade, attended by literal war criminals. Bezalel Smotrich was in attendance. Kate Willett says this is who AOC endorsed and did ads with, while staying utterly silent about Daria-Liza and Claire. Both winners. AOC is working tirelessly for something, but it isn't to end U.S. imperialism or build a socialist electoral movement. No socialist organization should co-sign this. Hey, there's soon-to-be former Congressman Dan Goldman on the left side of the frame there. Yep, and since he was defeated tonight. Okay, so this blog here, Not Us, or Notice, I guess, put in writing the sort of diverging strategies, if you will, of AOC and Zohran Mamdani going into this race. Now, this is slightly obsolete in a way that I'm going to point out. This was from June 18th, but Zohran Mamdani and AOC's split endorsements are raising eyebrows. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is backing a trio of insurgent candidates in House races, including 2 who are challenging Democratic incumbents, while staying out of contentious state legislative primaries. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is supporting several Democratic Socialists of America candidates in competitive New York State legislative races, while so far staying out of contentious congressional primaries. The seemingly complementary slates, when combined, cover most of DSA's endorsed candidates, leaving some consultants to speculate that the pair, quote, divided and conquered, as one put it. They're also a sign of the pair's diverging political realities, more than a half dozen New York Democratic strategists said. Mamdani, who must work with Albany power brokers for his city's budget, is avoiding run-ins with state leaders, while Ocasio-Cortez, who is seen as a potential presidential candidate, isn't alienating relationships with her congressional colleagues, they said. Okay, so that was on the 18th, but on the 21st, just a few days later, Mamdani actually did put out endorsements for state assembly candidates, which would suggest that he is throwing his hat in the ring for the Albany state legislature. So here's an ad that he cut with some of his preferred state assembly candidates.
We made history, toppling a political dynasty and turning the page on a politics of big money and small ideas. While it might have been my name on the ballot, it was a vision beyond one office for a new era in our city. That victory doesn't belong to just one person, and neither does the vision. This June, the fight for a city you can afford, it's on the ballot again.
I'm running to fund dignity,
protect our immigrant neighbors, to build affordable housing,
funding and implementing universal child care,
and tax the rich.
I'm Samantha Catan.
I'm Eli Northrup.
I'm Abir Kawas.
Brian Romero.
Siapa Cyber Tupac.
The people who don't want things to change aren't going to stop, and neither can we. Donate what you can. Knock on doors with us. Share with your friends and your family. They think last election was the end? We're just getting started.
Go New York, go New York, go!
All right, so there he is with the state assembly candidate. So it was not a divide and conquer strategy. It's an AOC is a coward. In reality, that's what it is. He didn't sit out the legislative races in New York State. She just sat out the congressional primaries. So Mamdani is backing 3 left-wing challengers in some of his biggest political swings yet. He endorsed former New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, a progressive ally, even as they competed for mayor against Dan Goldman, whose more moderate position on Israel has made him a target of progressives. I love that. Yeah, he's a moderate on Israel. I guess being pro child murder is now a moderate. That makes you moderate. If you're anti-child murder, you're a radical. I guess that is the framing according to the Notice blog here. He's also backing
extremists if you want to eat them.
Yeah, exactly. What would an extremist be on Israel then? Yeah, if you're pro cannibalism and genocide. Yeah. He's also backing Assembly member Claire Valdez in the open race to replace retiring Nydia Vasquez, who has endorsed Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso. Mamdani's support could prove key here in a district where Reynoso's name recognition and record would usually give him the upper hand against someone like Valdez, who was first elected in 2024. Well, spoiler alert, it did. So not only did this guy have the blessing of the retiring Congresswoman Velasquez, he's also the borough president, and a fairly popular one at that.
Wow.
That was quite that was quite the victory that Valdez had, and it was not close. She won by over 20 points.
Adriano that was a lot of juice, man.
That's a lot of juice right there. That is a juicy grapefruit going into that cup. Representative Adriano Espaillat, chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, may be hoping for a repeat of that failure. Espaillat is fending off a challenge from activist Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier, who picked up Mamdani's final congressional endorsement. It might be Mamdani's most dangerous intervention, several Democrats said, as Espaillat is the informal dean of New York politics, mentoring a generation of Dominican and Latino leaders. Scary guy. Don't want to cross him and fail. Well, he didn't fail. Spoiler alert once again. Chevalier has defeated Adriano Espaillat. Mamdani has taken heat for his role in the race. The New York Times reported last month that the mayor had originally pledged to support Espaillat. A spokesman for Mamdani declined to comment. Mamdani's intervention has infuriated the Congressional Hispanic Caucus as well as House Democratic leadership, with 2 senior House Democrats sharing that his endorsement could cost Espaillat that seat. And it did. Nonetheless, Mamdani is trying to rub some of his viral magic off on his endorsed candidate. Then they mention the ad that he cut. We don't have to read all of this. We'll contrast this with AOC. Ocasio-Cortez was not part of the ad, meaning this ad here. And then there was another ad that Mamdani cut for the congressional candidates. She effectively stopped endorsing against incumbents after the 2022 cycle, committing not to do so when she was running to be the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, losing to the late Representative Jerry Connolly, but she did reopen that door earlier this spring. It's not surprising then that Ocasio-Cortez has opted against endorsing in these races because, quote, governing is difficult, and in order to govern, you need to rely on other people in government to help you be successful, and it requires having relationships with peers and colleagues in elected office, says Jasmine Gripper, co-director of the New York Working Families Party. Well, guess what? Those people aren't in elected office anymore past January. So all those relationships that you were protecting by not endorsing the upstart insurgent against them, guess what? Those relationships don't mean shit anymore.
Is that like relational harm?
Yeah. Relational harm. Relational harm. Well, there's no relational harm now. In fact, you probably did yourself relational harm by not endorsing them, because now they're going to be in office and they're going to remember that you didn't have their back when they were running. AOC's maturity and being a more senior member, she understands that in order to continue to advance her career, so she just spells it out, just blatantly admits, in order to advance her career, she has to have friends and partners in government in order to continue to get things done. Well, not only is she giving away the game there and say, yeah, no, the reason AOC didn't get involved in these primaries is because she thought it would be beneficial to her career to stay out of it. Not only do they just admit that, but they end up being completely wrong, because now those incumbents are 0 for 3, which means there'd have been no relational harm to backing these insurgent candidates. If anything, you did yourself relational harm by not backing them. And, for AOC to sit these races out not only shows a cravenness and a shallowness, but also a real naivete about the moment that we're in. Like, she bet wrong by not endorsing here. She could have looked a lot bolder and more courageous had she done it, and she would have looked right. She would have looked like a winner. But, of course, she's playing a different game here. And this is the game she's been playing for the last year and a half. And this is why she spurned Marjorie Taylor Greene when she was asked at the David Axelrod event what she thinks of Marjorie Taylor Greene's anti-Israel pivot. AOC thinks, hilariously, that she is going to be president someday. And she's gunning now for the 2028 nomination. Now, that is just an absurdity beyond words. I think the Democrats would have to try really, really hard to lose the presidency in 2028 the way things are going. Really hard. And by really hard, I mean they'd have to nominate AOC to do it. Because AOC is one of a very small handful of people who would lose a general election to a J.D. Vance or a Marco Rubio, which is why it's an absurdity. She's not going to win the nomination. She's not going to be president, but that's what she has in her head that is in her future. And that explains all of these moves that she's making, including not pissing off the money people by endorsing the progressive insurgent candidates. And so not only is it a selfish bet, it's a losing bet. It's a losing bet, and it is a bet that is motivated by a delusion that she is a viable national candidate, which she is not. So, she is on a real losing streak, and Mamdani can't miss. He can't miss.
Yeah. Also, if she ran for president, people would start to ask awkward questions about what happened to her fiance.
Yeah, well, you don't see that guy around anymore.
Oh, he's probably dead. Doesn't want to have to explain why he disappeared like that. Nobody's seen that guy for like 5 years. What happened to him? Last I heard, they got engaged and he never freaking saw him again. She killed him.
That's true. We've never. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is
Her fiance is like it's like the Shelley Miscavige of politics.
Yeah, it is weird that nobody's heard from him since they supposedly got engaged. Yeah,
She went praying mantis. She bit his head off.
Yeah. It's gonna have to find the new man if she wants to run for president, I guess. But yeah, no, I mean,
wasn't he a ginger? Wasn't he a ginger?
I think he was a ginger.
Yeah, that's why she killed him. You can't live with a ginger.
Yeah.
People don't trust gingers. They're afraid of them.
Yeah, you should start a Substack called The Rumor Mill with Russell Dobular. Unsubstantiated rumors. People are saying some have said.
some people are saying.
Some people are saying. Yeah, some people are saying. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, she just, she's obviously just stuck in, a mindset that really predates this moment. Like she is assuming the party is where it was in 2016 and 2018 and 2020. And she sees herself as someone who, scored this really unlikely victory. And now she's pulling the ladder up, behind her. But she clearly does not have the cachet anymore. She doesn't have the juice anymore. Now Mamdani is a new thing on the block. He has all the juice, which means they can win, I guess, without her endorsement. I guess he's all they need.
It's a weird thing because technically she's a DSA member, right?
Yeah, I think she is. Yeah.
Like DSA, as I recall, didn't they speak out against her for her position on Israel funding or something?
Yeah. But I don't think they revoked her membership. I don't think they excommunicated her. I don't think they could ever do that. I think she means too much to them for them to ever do that. But they make up some fucking excuse. Well, Mamdani wants to maintain relationships in Albany and she wants to maintain relationships in Washington. A few days later, Mamdani endorses the state assembly candidates and she is still nowhere to be seen here. And she read it completely wrong. So that's one difference.
Well, in the end, her mentor is Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if you look at what she's doing, it's very Pelosi.
Yeah,
she's looking at the path Pelosi took to power, and she's trying to chart the same course.
Right. That's what I mean. It's yesterday's game. It really is. Apparently. I mean, the way this last year and a half has gone, especially in New York, and these New York candidates have been worrying about this for a while. I mean, they didn't come for Hakeem Jeffries' seat. The Richie Torres primary, even a guy like Michael Blake, who had more, institutional support than Jose did, obviously, never really made a splash. But there's been anxiety that this was brewing in New York for a long time because the DSA has been organizing in New York for a long time. And especially even before Mamdani won, when he started gaining traction, there's been this thinking really ever since AOC won. Okay, who is the next New York politician? Who's the next, long-term sort of stalwart of the New York scene to fall victim to one of these primary challenges? And at first it was obviously AOC. Then it was the guy, what's his name, Elliot Engel, who lost the Bowman seat.
Right.
Then they shuffled Bowman's district around, and
Right.
he got beat by the AIPAC guy last year. But now Esbiat is the next guy, and that is in Russell's district. So there you go. All right, let's take some more super chats and Rumble rants, and then we got one more segment before we close the lights on this evening's program.
All right, Tusker. We can't podcast our way out of this? Well, shit, back to the drawing board. We'll think of something.
Yeah.
Andy Gardner, hey, Keaton, you can't vote your way out. I joke, but really, we need to fight like Elon's AI image of him with a sword and battle scars and leather. Dmitry Mugianis. Now we just wait for the schmaltz to do its work on Schumer's arteries. Solidarity from Harlem. Oh, you live up here?
Oh, you're from Harlem. All right. See, New York. That New York spirit is alive.
Yep. Healing Tarzan. I agree with y'all on Mamdani. I run my mouth online to stay sane, but at the end of the day, I want to see actual results in
I
the
mean,
world.
you don't have to do either
Yeah.
or. You just have to have a sense of you have to have a sense of perspective about it. Like one cannot be a substitute for the other, you know. And this is what I think has really happened, unfortunately, is that, you know, a lot of this enlightenment that a lot of people have gone through, a lot of this red pilling has just led people, you know, it's this very ironically, it's this very sort of like liberal approach to politics, right? What did we say about the libs? Their politics is a politics of personal expression. It's not a politics
Right,
of real world
right.
engagement. It's
Yeah.
a politics of
It's a
virtue
lifestyle
signaling.
brand.
It's a
Yeah.
lifestyle brand, right? It's a means of expressing yourself.
It's the
Well, a lot of that,
Lululemon of political theory.
exactly. We've said that about the libs for as long as we've been talking into microphones. And I think, unfortunately, you know, that mindset is not unique to liberals. And, you know, it's not even strictly a left thing. I think this happens a lot within MAGA circles, right? I mean, I think when people become so hyper engaged online, they start believing that their personal expression is political action, and it's not. In
Right,
fact, it is
yeah,
very often
right.
a substitute for political action
As it's intended to be.
as it's intended to be, because it actually neutralizes you. If all you do is talk
Right.
shit online, it means you're not doing things that actually change the world.
Yeah. Mobile Vulgus. DD are pragmatic liberal Zionists. Just own it. Yeah. It's like that's so off the beam. I don't know if it's a joke or not.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Zionists believe in Israel's right to exist, right? By definition, which
Yeah.
we do not. Eo Shush. You can attract more flies with a teaspoon of honey than a barrel of vinegar. So far, unless you're making a salad. So far, fuck the Democrats hasn't put a person in office that may vote to help stop a genocide. Exactly. I mean, to me, refusing to vote for Democrats was strategic. And I think it worked. I think it broke the libs. Now, does that mean you go all in on the Democratic Party? No, you can't. They'll just go back. Like, you got to stay outside, applying outside pressure. But when you achieve your goals, you don't say, well, I'm in the He-Man Woman Haters Club, and that means that I'm a woman hater. Like, what is that, man? You're not accomplishing anything. Chuck Zlatkin. Lander said Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Yes, he did.
Yeah, no,
And
he
hey,
did.
man, I mean, Lander is a liberal Zionist. Lander believes in Israel's right to exist and, you know, two-state and all that.
As a Jewish
shit.
state, right? Exactly. Yeah.
As a Jewish state, exactly.
Yeah.
Devanez. Moonwalk Walker has a good song about you only want the revolution if it's how you want. They have another song called Monopoly Money. Check them out if you get a chance. That sounds like something I might enjoy.
Fun. Yeah.
John, 2017. Here's $5 for having Cool Blue. He's fascinating. Love from Florida. There you go, Cool Blue.
There you go. Look at that. Cool Blue's got fans. Yeah, I have to check on Jose's final vote total, actually. It's a good question. I will check that out.
Deep Green VO. How did Jose Vega fare? All right, we're looking into that right now.
Looking into that. We'll get you an update on that right now.
Russell's Peasant Mind. I stayed up late for this. It's like a World Cup tie. Well, not much of a tie.
Nope, not much of a tie. That's true.
T-Bone, I always watch your shows, but can't always send thank you notes. The show has been even better than ever since Russ's return. Oh, Class
you.
A wit and humor, can't get enough. Your fan forever, T-Bone. Thank you, man. You're an OG.
You're an
For a while.
OG. Thank you, T-Bone. Yeah, I was telling Russell, the show's been getting like good reviews lately. You know.
Yeah, it's weird.
People have been digging it. It's weird.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah, we don't care for it ourselves.
No.
No.
I wouldn't watch it if you paid me. You'd have to send me audience super chats to watch this.
What's going on here? Why is my browser fucking me? Go ahead. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you had it.
No, I don't have it. Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Face pollution. Hey guys, been a while. Saw Jimmy in Tacoma. What's that song? Went to Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, PA. Steph took a picture and it looked forced perspective. A giant Hagrid next to Jimmy. Love both the shows. Yeah, it doesn't happen when I take a picture of them. Eric Rousseau, AOC is getting things done. She didn't even get her sunscreen things done. Yeah, and I did not notice an appreciable difference in the Asian sunscreen myself. Although I didn't get Korean sunscreen. I wasn't in Korea.
Let's see where Jose is at. Jose is still at 5.6. That's all right. We'll catch him on the mail-ins, you know. But yeah, he's at 5.6. Which, hey, that means 1 in 20 voters voted for Jose Vega with no. I mean, he ran that. I mean, that is as grassroots as it gets, right there. And now he's he fights on. Fights on. All right. Oh,
Yep.
Sorry. I meant to put that on the screen. There it is.
All right.
All right. We got one more segment for you, fine people.
I told him he had to go to McDonald's and get them to introduce a Jose Vega meal. And a lot of people go to McDonald's in the Bronx.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. He thought it was crazy. He thought it was a crazy idea.
Yeah. See.
Oh man.
You should have taken your advice.
They never listen, man.
They never listen. They never listen. So my dad had this guy who used to go around. He was a church activist. You know, he had a group with his church. You know, he's a very nice guy, kind of a lovable local figure. And he used to tell my dad, he says, I've always wanted a Cadillac. His name was Carlos. He said, I've always wanted a Cadillac. It's always been my dream to have a Cadillac, but I could never afford a Cadillac. So now what I do is I go to Cadillac dealers, and I tell them I have this organization with my church, and would they be willing to donate a Cadillac? That you mean they give you a Cadillac for free? He says, yeah. I ask them if they'd like to donate a Cadillac to my church group. He says, well, what do they tell you? He says, they all say no. But he figures
that all you need is one to say yes.
Yeah, eventually one of them might say yes. I got nothing to lose by asking. I'm not going in there and stealing them. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just asking, hey, do you think you could donate a Cadillac? And, almost certainly they're going to say no. But, hey, it's like you better odds one of them will say yes than like buying a lotto ticket, right? Like it's not 1 in 10 million. It's probably 1 in 20,000. I'm sure if you went into 20,000 Cadillac dealerships, one of the guys would be like, yeah, maybe we can make that happen.
That was like a
Unfortunately, he never found them. Yeah.
That was very early sex advice I got. I think I was 13. I was loading trucks for a provisions company. And my boss told me, all right, you get laid, you say, do you like apples? And she says yes, or she says no. Whatever she says, you go, do you want to fuck? Now, 9 of them might slap you, but the 10th one will go home.
Exactly. I was watching that podcast.
And I never tried it.
Stavi's World, Stavros Halkias, the Cumtown guy, started his own show. In the first episode, he had, what's his name, Sam Morrill on, and he was telling this story about how his friend's father used to get them into bars when they were, underage, shouldn't be drinking. They were legal to have sex with women, but not to drink beer. They're like 19 or 20. And he says the guy would just, this father was just so inappropriate, the guy who would sneak them in the bars. And he told this really funny story. He says, he took us to this bar one time, and he just goes up to this woman. He just, as soon as he walks in the bar, just walks up to this woman and says, "Lady, what I wouldn't give to fuck you up the ass." That's it. That's the opening line. You waste no time. You just go up to him and say that. Now, the way he tells the story is the woman got really offended by him, and Sam kind of apologized to the woman and said, "I'm really sorry about that. That was horrible."
Yeah.
And then she grabs him and starts making out with him. And according to her, the father was being his wingman. The father said something so offensive that he could swoop in as the white knight.
He could be the white knight. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was the story. But, I got to thinking, like, okay, if that's your line is to just walk up to a woman and be like, "Lady, what I love lady." The first you call her lady, that's the first thing. Right. "Lady, what I wouldn't give to fuck you up the ass."
That's just to show you're not an animal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, are you going to like that line is gonna fail almost every time, but it's not gonna fail every time. Like, I'm sure that would probably work like 1 out of 100 times, right?
But you know
Maybe
what the problem?
So let's
with
say
that
you hit on
theory
100, you'll use it 100 times a week. You're gonna get one crazy taker, and at that point, look how much easier that was than agonizing, "Oh, hey, how am I going to get this woman to come home with me?" Right? You rack your brain. You think, what do I have to do? What do I say? Do I buy a drink? Do I sit down? Do I blah, blah, blah? What if you just say, "You know what? I'm just going to go up and be the most obnoxious fucking forward asshole I can." And yeah, I'm going to get slapped 99 times out of 100, but not 100 times out of 100. So, really, is it irrational to do it that way? Probably not.
Yeah, it is, because I'll explain to you why. Some of these women are going to have husbands or brothers
that's true.
or fathers who are not going to take too kindly to it. So you're probably going to wind up with a broken jaw long before
That's true.
you wind up going home with a woman.
That's true.
Or maybe worse. That's the first problem with that.
Yeah, that's
the second problem with
flaw
it
in the plan.
is the one who says yes is going to leave you with the kind of disease that's like
they'll give
luggage.
you gonorrhea.
You're going to have it forever.
Exactly.
You're going to have it for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So those are the two problems with that theory.
You'll either be violently killed, or you'll get
you'll wind up
disease.
going home with someone you really don't want to go home with. Right? It's probably not a good idea. See, the apples thing you could kind of make an argument for, because it's not so over the line that people are going to feel like they got to take a bat to your head for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not so far over the line.
Exactly.
Like you might get a woman who's like borderline to go for that. But that line, any woman who goes for that line is
Bad
not
news.
one you
Right.
want any part of. And so that's our show, folks.
All right, that's our last
We
segment.
were talking today about clippable segments for shorts. That's
there you
right
go. There you go. So there you go. All right.
Okay. All right. So we had some action in England this week. Where the hell is that now? What the fuck? Oh, there we go. All right. So it's all right. Let me organize my shit, because I'm going to get very confused
All
otherwise.
right, go ahead. I'll read some of these. Raven Laz, fellas, they're going to pick Mayor Pete for the candidacy. They're going to run a guy who's gay as fuck and whose last name sounds like Booty Judge. Idiocracy. Thank you, Raven Laz. Wasim Garani says nothing says progressive like AOC getting her assistant to hold her umbrella while sipping her latte, or Bernie with his 3 mansions. Thank you, Wasim. Vienticus says, I prefer the Three Stooges women haters personally. Thank you, Vienticus. Appreciate that. All right. By the way, Vienticus, I'm going to do your second ad read on Sunday. I've not forgotten about you.
All right.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I need to do is put that slideshow back at the beginning. Get late, folks. Okay. So Keir Starmer, the unlikely rise and spectacular fall of Keir Starmer. This is really for us Yanks, a little summary of this trajectory.
Keir Starmer was elected in July 2024, bringing the centre-left Labour Party back to power after 14 years in opposition.
Change begins now.
His election was marked with a pledge to restore respect to politics and to lead a government of public service after the chaos of the last years of Conservative rule.
A new future for our children. That is what people will get. And mark my words, we will deliver it.
His first months in office were marred by minor scandals, with an early furore over accepting free gifts like designer spectacles and tickets to a Taylor Swift concert, and a series of policy U-turns. Internationally, he rallied European support for Ukraine in its war with Russia, and forged a close relationship with US President Donald Trump, despite divergent political views.
President Trump, can you get a peace deal done in Ukraine?
But that relationship soured when Starmer decided to not get the UK directly involved in the war in Iran.
Because this is not our war, and we are not going to be dragged into it.
After a year in office, his personal ratings fell to among the worst of any British Prime Minister, and support in his party sank, with many lawmakers in his party who were elected with slim majorities becoming anxious about his leadership. In late 2024, he appointed party grandee Peter Mandelson to the key post of ambassador to the United States. When revelations emerged about Mandelson's close relationship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, Starmer sacked him as ambassador, but faced a wave of anger over why he had been appointed in the first place.
Did the official security vetting he received mention Mandelson's ongoing relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein?
Prime Minister?
Yes, it did.
Starmer
And
acknowledged
Donald
that
Trump
he'd made
as
the
well,
wrong
but I
judgment,
don't
but placed
mention that
blame
when I meet with
squarely
him.
on Foreign Office officials, who he said did not tell him Mandelson had failed security vetting. Despite repeated apologies to Epstein's victims and to the country, Starmer's decision to appoint Mandelson spiralled into one of the biggest crises of his leadership. The pressure peaked in May 2026. Labour lost more than 1,000 council seats in local elections.
These are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And the voters have sent a message.
The devastating result triggered open calls within the party for new leadership. Facing down critics, Starmer vowed to prove the doubters wrong.
I will set a new direction for Britain. The last government was defined by breaking our relationship with Europe. This Labour government will be defined by rebuilding our relationship with Europe, by putting Britain at the heart of Europe, so that we are stronger on the economy, stronger on trade, stronger on defence, you name it.
But by then, the question was no longer his vision for the country, but whether he could survive long enough to deliver it.
Yeah. Well, apparently not. Keir Starmer announced his resignation this week. Is Benny in the closet. He listed some of his sins, the worst of which apparently Keir Starmer had all the glory holes in London sealed up. Benny was very upset about that, but that was, a lot of people feel that was the least of his sins. So here's some of what he had to say.
Did it?
Keir Starmer was elected in July 2024, bringing the centre-left Labour Party back to power after 14 years.
Sorry.
6 years ago, I inherited a Labour Party that was politically, financially, and morally bankrupt. I was told time and time again that my party was finished, that we were consigned to history, that a majority at the general election, let alone a landslide majority,
What's with the
was
chorus?
impossible.
What is that?
But we proved those people wrong.
It's just weird.
Because we changed our party, ripping out the poison of anti-Semitism, restoring trust
Yeah,
on
we'll
the
talk
economy,
about that a little.
defence and national security, and becoming a party that once again stood proudly with, not against, our national flag. The hard work of change was with a singular purpose: Not power for power's sake, but to change Britain for the better. To build a fairer country with dignity and respect, where everyone is seen, everyone is valued, wealth and opportunity for all, not just the privileged few.
Yes, I am aware that for many people, their first introduction to the Ode of Joy is the Ludovico technique scene in A Clockwork Orange. The reference is quite intentional, I assure you. But he went on to get emotional.
The biggest job in the country. I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.
I mean, I think he's crying because when you go out as the most unpopular prime minister in the history of polling, the consultancy jobs probably dry up. You probably don't get those board seats, right? Nobody really wants to be associated with you. Speaking
open up
fees.
A tea shop.
Yeah. So here's Nigel Farage. So the plan is to move in a new prime minister under Labor. That's how it works in the parliamentary system. But they can call for brand new elections,
right?
Which, of course, Nigel Farage would like.
I can only imagine how tough it is. So on a human level, yeah, I'm sorry for the guy that he failed, but he did fail. And I think he'll be upset, but I think the British public will be upset. Most of the things this Labour government did were not even in their manifesto in 2024. And we're about to get our 6th Prime Minister in 7 years, which is sort of Italian-style fast politics going back a few decades. And whoever becomes the Prime Minister will not have been voted for by the British public. And if the next Prime Minister is the new MP for Makerfield, Andy Burnham, he didn't even stand at the last election on any manifesto at all. And I really do think that my call for there to be a general election as soon as is possible, I think you'll find a lot of support for
that. We don't have a lot of time left to get a good race war going. And I think if you put me in office, you'll have one by Christmas. Donald Trump was asked what he thought about Keir Starmer's resignation. Here's what he had to say.
Critical of Prime Minister Starmer, and he's now resigned. Your thoughts, and who would you like to see as the next Prime Minister?
I was critical only from the set because I think he's a lovely man. But I said you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill. It's one of the great fields in the world, and they haven't even found most. You know that the UK buys much of its energy. You know where? Norway. You know where they get their oil? The North Sea. The UK has a much better portion of the North Sea. They don't want to do it for environmental purposes, okay? And I told him he's a very nice man. I mean, sort of a friend of mine. I mean, he was not good to us with NATO, Pete, right? He said, we can't use the island to land. That was the first. For a couple of weeks, he said, well, but ultimately I gave it to you. Now, that was a bad move. That hurt him badly. But I mean, I wish him well, but he's got two problems: energy and immigration and crime. But energy and immigration. And he's really hurt himself very, very badly. Please.
I don't feel when I'm alone in a hotel room with him like I do about the leaders of Egypt or China. Xi is a big, strong man. He's very big, strong, strapping man. I can feel the blood flow when I meet with Xi. Not like this guy. This guy, he's soft and he makes me soft. That's how I feel about Keir Starmer. Lovely though. Fat Randy. Another example of how the whole anti-woke, anti-immigrant thing, whatever. And I personally believe, I've said this again and again, I do believe that they allowed immigration at levels that the societies did not have the infrastructure to support or properly integrate people or absorb into the society adequately because they wanted to destabilize the power of unions and labor. I believe that. I don't believe that the argument that there was a social engineering element to the migrant crisis, both here and in Europe. I don't think that's bullshit. I don't think that's a myth. At the same time, you have to recognize that the people who are really riding that anger are Zionists, turning it to their own purpose. So here's Fat Randy. Wonderful news that Keir Starmer is resigning as Prime Minister of the United Islamic Kingdom. It comes days after Starmer's involvement in covering up the rape of 250,000 Christian British girls at the hands of Muslim migrants was revealed. I pray that our heritage brothers and sisters across the pond can reclaim their country from the invaders. Fat Randy could give a shit if the entire island of England fell off the end of the earth and hit Mars. He could give a fuck. You know why? Because you're goy. You're goy. And he is the kind of Jewish supremacist for whom that makes you not quite human. You know why he's pretending to be on your side? Because he wants you to hate Muslims so that you'll support Israel. That's what a lot of this shit is. That's what it is. That is completely apart from whether you have valid concerns about a level of immigration to your country that it can't handle. That is what they are using that for. And yeah, of course, that's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, no, you could rape 250,000 girls. Nobody would notice that. Never happened. This is because a member of parliament literally crowdfunded their own study. And that's what he came up with. And of course, Elon is boosting that. Never happened. You can just use the junk math all you like. UK hasn't even had 250K rape convictions since 1950. They've taken a sample of 1,400 cases over 16 years in one area and extrapolated the data to say it represents the entire nation. They're just burning money on you at this point. No one's buying this rhetoric. Yeah, I mean, look, when you feed people a product that they like, they're going to eat it, whether it makes sense or not. Does that make any sense? That in a country the size of England, you could have that many cases of this and flew under the radar. It's absurd on the face of it. They're going with this as a fact because a member of parliament crowdfunded a study. Hey, he mentioned how they ripped up the scourge of anti-Semitism. And by ripped up, he means smeared Jeremy Corbyn, somebody who actually wanted to do something for the people of England besides impose more austerity on them. And here he is, and he's a human rights lawyer, Keir Starmer. He's a human rights lawyer. Talking about how siege warfare might be justified. That's a war crime, by the way.
Israel does have that right to defend herself.
He was asked about cutting off the water.
And Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation.
Literally, you are a fucking human rights lawyer. That is literally against international law. Sieges are against international law.
Obviously, everything should be done within international law, but I don't want.
Well, then you
Israel
can't.
must have that. Does have that right to defend.
If everything has to be done within international law, then everything you just said makes no sense, because you cannot cut off power and water according to international law. So that's what he means by ripping up anti-Semitism. Or how about this? This was just a few days ago. This is the kind of hardened criminal they've been locking up over there in the interest of ripping up anti-Semitism.
No rush. my darling. I'm so
How old are you, ma'am?
So proud of you.
How old are you?
85.
85. Her crime was she was at a Palestine Action protest. And how about this? How about this? Now, we're not fans of either one of these gentlemen, but they certainly have the right to speak. Hassan Piker, Cenk Uygur, both canceled from the South by Southwest Festival, had their visas canceled for their politics. And this is where it gets really scary. This is 972 magazine. The authoritarianism of Starmer's government should be terrifying in itself, but it is likely to soon lead to an even more dangerous place. His deeply unpopular Labor Party risks being ousted at the next general election by the far-right Reform Party. And you get Nigel Farage in there, it's going to be like V for Vendetta. The guy is like an extra from V for Vendetta, Nigel Farage. Seems like he should have been one of the ministers in that movie. The plot against Palestine Action, just a little bit from this article. The need to crush opposition to the British state's complicity in Israeli atrocities in Gaza, which a consensus of international legal, scholarly, and human rights experts has determined amounts to a genocide, has led to many firsts in British legal history. But the proscription of Palestine Action is perhaps the most foundational and the most dangerous. It is the first time that a direct action group whose form of civil disobedience is damaging property rather than using violence against people has been declared a terrorist organization on a par with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group. Under this new interpretation of the law, the suffragette movement, which fought to gain women the vote in Britain over a century ago, and whose members are uniformly extolled as role models by the very politicians who support Palestine Action's proscription, would undoubtedly have been declared a terrorist organization. Jonathan Cook here. This was pretty crazy. This was just last week. Judge Jeremy Johnson had to rig 2 jury trials before he secured a criminal conviction for damage against 4 activists who targeted an Israeli drone factory in the UK. Johnson did not tell the jury he was going to sentence the 4 as terrorists, the first time such an upgrade has happened in British history. This week, he's referred their defense barrister for contempt of court proceedings for a second time. Again, a British legal history first, even though the Court of Appeal rejected his previous application. But hey, the government, police, and courts' treatment of Palestine Action, the first direct action group ever to be prescribed as a terrorist organization in British history, has been completely normal. Okay, so to catch you up, the jury found that they were not guilty of terrorism. The judge overruled the jury and sentenced them as terrorists. The barrister told the jury that in the end, British law does not give that power to the judge. It gives it to the jury, and the jury can find however they want without consequence. He is trying to find him in contempt for instructing the jury of their legal right not to side with the judge. So it's really, I mean, it's V for Vendetta. It's V for Vendetta. It's very weird having grown up. I don't know why exactly England produced so much of the classic dystopian sci-fi of authoritarian societies gone wrong. But, you know, I grew up on that shit. And reading this, it's like giving me flashbacks to Clockwork Orange. Like that's what it sounds like. Craig Mokaber. For all his serious failings at home and abroad, history will most remember Keir Starmer as an enthusiastic participant in the axis of genocide. His direct complicity in the genocide in Palestine and his brutal repression of human rights defenders protesting the genocide in the UK will define his legacy forever. His departure from office is only the first step toward justice. Now let him answer for his crimes in a court of law. Your mouth to God's ears, my friend. So Adam here has a nice summary. Let's recap his 2 years of selling out. Won the largest labor majority in a generation, a historic mandate, the country in his hands. Appointed Peter Mandelson, Epstein's man in Britain, as his first major hire. Cracked down on Palestinian protests and civil liberties. Backed every war, backed genocide, raised taxes, historic unemployment. Did absolutely nothing about the cost of living except make it worse. Caved like a corrupt coward on abolishing leasehold. Rolled out digital ID, forced ID for all new accounts. This is, they've just brought in age restrictions on social media use in the UK. Banned social media for young people and increased anti-Semitism education in schools. The result? Lost nearly 1,500 council seats in a single local election. Net approval rating of minus 66. The most unpopular prime minister since records began. And here's what should terrify the labor establishment. Only 5% of labor voters who left went to reform. 32% went to the Greens and Lib Dems. They didn't lose to the right. They lost to the left they abandoned. Keir Starmer was never there to represent you. He was there to neutralize the left and hand the establishment 2 terms of safe, managed decline. Mission accomplished, sort of. Well, that all sounds pretty familiar.
Yes.
Funny how much our British cousins mirror our own predicament. And Jeremy Corbyn. Keir Starmer could have ended child poverty, homelessness, and the grotesque levels of inequality in this country. Instead, he abandoned those in need, destroyed our civil liberties, and facilitated genocide in Gaza. That is how this prime minister will be remembered, and that is the legacy of moral and political bankruptcy he leaves behind. The crisis in our society are not going away. Neither are we, and we will keep fighting for a more equal, peaceful, and dignified society for all. But hey, man, it's about to get better. All the smart money says this fella's about to be the new prime minister, Andy Burnham. Here he is. He was running in the 2015 labor leader election. There's very inspiring stuff here. Get ready.
We need to now reach out, and we need to show that we are listening to people across the board, including in the community. It is clear that when we went into the last election, relationships were damaged. As leader of the Labour Party, I would make it my business to put those relationships right. And as a start of a 10, I can say tonight that the first foreign visit I would do as leader of the Labour Party would be to Israel, to show that message from the very start. Thank you.
Well, let me quote an Englishman when I say, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Hey, it's a long time ago. Who knows? Maybe he's evolved since then. That clip is from 11 years ago. Maybe he could see the writing on the wall, but seems like, as hard as it is to imagine, the Zionists have even more control over the government in England than they do here. So I don't know that you're going to get anybody who's not going to go along with these things. And remember, when you see a lot of these really terrifying dystopian Orwellian speech laws and laws against political activist groups, they don't have a First Amendment. They're able to push these kinds of impositions on speech and expression in a way that you'd really have to completely compromise the Supreme Court to do that here. And so far, at least, I don't think you could get those based on the fact that they ruled against the deportations to CCOT. They have enough independents left that if you presented them with laws like this, I don't think you'd get them through the Supreme Court here. There, it seems like they have an easier time of it. Maybe that's why they produce all this dystopian sci-fi, because they always feel that possibility. They don't have the protections against it. Maybe it's because they live on a gray, cold island that's kind of dystopian on the best of days. Maybe it's the food. I don't know. I don't know. But you look at what's happening in England, and it's like Children of Men. Like it's all of these visions of an authoritarian England coming true.
Yeah, I mean they have workarounds for the First Amendment here, but in the UK, I guess you don't need workarounds because you have no First Amendment. So it's a lot easier to just be as direct as this. And yeah, I remember doing the segment about the UK elections where the Tories just took an absolute drubbing. That was little Rishi Sunak.
Yep,
He left,
yep,
in disgrace after suffering, a historic landslide defeat at the hands of this Labor Party that, as Adam said there, I think it was Adam listed it in the tweet, really had the country in his hands. I mean, he had a historic mandate, really had all the wind at his back. And, Starmer is a perfect metaphor for, liberal Zionism in the sense that he, his first instinct, just like Joe Biden's first instinct, was back Israel full throttle. Oh, yes, they have the right to turn off the electricity. They have the right to turn off the water, even though those are obvious war crimes. Then as the genocide goes on, he starts talking a little tougher, right? Oh, there were recognizing a Palestinian state,
he recognized Palestine
and all that, right? He starts talking like he's not as vicious, and that he's not as against these protesters as he gestures that he is. But then, of course, he implements all of these horrible anti-speech laws. Like he could never get his hands around that issue in a way that made any political sense. And this is the way the Democratic Party treats this issue here, by and large, right? It's we back Israel, we're for Israel, we hate to see some of the things that they're doing, but we're still for Israel. And that's just a line we will not ever cross, no matter what. So when push
and
comes
I
to
suspect
shove,
that's what you're going to get with the new one.
of course, that's what you're going to get with the new one. And what is the result of this? A collapse in support and a surge in a sort of radical right-wing party. I mean that is exactly what happened here. So it's very instructive. There are a lot of parallels between that trajectory and ours. And one thing that you saw since the Trump election here is that a lot of countries around the world kind of got scared straight, right? You saw the liberals in Canada. They went from being on the verge of a landslide defeat to a landslide victory. You saw that in Australia, where the Liberal Party really kind of pulled away in the post-Trump era because they kind of saw the United States as the little kid who fell down the well, and they're like, oh shit, we don't want to end up like them. But this is teachable in that it shows that, the effect of that is limited, and that, if you are given a mandate and you fail as horribly as Keir Starmer has failed, then people will always explore other options, even if those options are quite ugly. And, we saw that here, and now they're seeing that over there. But the crackdown on expression and speech there has just been truly evil and really
insane,
dark and insane. And there's just no excusing it, and there's no way to look at his tenure from any other point of view than that he deserved to lose, and he deserves to be on his way out now. I mean, it was an absolute dismal failure, and what a miserable, amoral prick that guy is. For you to come out and say they have the right to turn off the water, you're literally giving a permission
He's a
slip
human rights lawyer
to murder civilians. That's what that is. You're literally saying they have a right to murder civilians, not just civilians, but civilians who are already being illegally occupied. Think about this, Mr. Human Rights Lawyer. If they have the ability, right? Never mind the right. If they have the ability to turn off the water, that's an illegal situation right there. Why does one country have the ability to turn off the water supply to another population? That's called an occupation. That's against international law too, Mr. Human Rights Lawyer. Not only do they have the right to occupy them and the ability to cut them off, but now they have the moral right to do that. That's self-defense. turning water off so children can't drink water, that's self-defense. You're a human rights lawyer, and that's your position, and you're going to lock people in jail for saying otherwise?
Yeah, and economically, I know. I mean, I have a daughter in England. Like England is I think they have a GDP that's about Mississippi's GDP. Like it is fucked over there, man. Like the wages versus the expenses, the math ain't mathin'. Like you think we got it bad over there? I don't know how they live. Like
Right.
really, man, it's impossible. So of course, and when you get that, it always opens the door to reactionary politics. That's happening here and it's happening there.
Yep. 100%. All right. Let's take some super chats and rumble rants on the way out here. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. EO Shush says AOC came in like a star when she was first elected, like she had a 29-point lead at half and started playing not to lose. Mamdani was 4% in the polls, played to win, and came back. Good points. Good point. He definitely played to win. There's no doubt about that. And he played to win here. I mean, he went out on a limb. I mean, he kind of risked embarrassment if he lost 2 out of these 3. And instead he won all 3. User Zixella AOC just got a backup dancer opening from That's right. Exactly. Face pollution, mental picture. It's Jaybird. YouTube been changing name. I've been the redhead that's called in. I'm 6 foot. Jimmy 5'7". It is a dig on me being an ogre. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Jaybird. Siddhartha Vicious. Russ, one day I'll have enough to pay enough super chats to get you to sing an entire Pogue song. Fairy Tale in New York. You can always do How I Met Your Mother naked man method. Works 1 in 4 times. Thank you. U.S. left is a joke because they have hatred for working class people. They lose it at first. Edgy joke. Most brown black people have very not PC beliefs. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. One of reasons among many. Well, you get some people here who now say that we're going to back AOC for president. We should join DSA. Well, the one reason, I mean, there's a lot of reasons I could never join DSA, but the most important one is the one you just mentioned. They don't laugh. They have no sense of humor. I can't be around people with no sense of humor.
Can we not clap? No clap.
Yeah, can we not clap? Don't laugh. It's too loud. As a lifelong anarcho-commie, it took me 63 years to realize that by any means necessary includes voting. Zoran made it clear to me. Thank you.
There you go.
Siddhartha Vicious. I hate that Starmer is gone because I just thought that Stormtroopers would be a good burn for his voters. That is a good burn, indeed. CB Pong, but Larry and Jihad 2028. Imagine Massey riding a sandworm into the White House. Thank you. Vienticus Prime. Oh, you didn't forget about me. I'm so touched. In the head. Ha. Thank you, Vienticus. EO Shush says British prime ministers have higher turnover than McDonald's. Oops. At least they get rid of them quick. In America, we instantly regret who we put in office and start counting down the days until they're gone. That's true. Remember Liz Truss? What was she prime minister for like 2 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Wasim Garani, if Wales and Scotland were smart, though, I would separate. Northern Ireland just joined with Ireland already. UK is sinking ship. I would say worse than USA. That's what people tend to say, yeah. England is not an island. Britain is an island. England borders Wales, Scotland, and Cornwall within the Isle of Britain. Yeah, but it's, the main landmass is what people think when they think of Britain. Isn't that what you said, Britain? Randy Fine is why I believe abortion 300 trimester. $1 Million Trooper, Fat Randy will pull a few more wildly bloated statistics out of his ass. I feel like he could come Ozempic Randy. That's right. She Nebraskan. Yeah, this story just broke before we went on. 5 protesters of ICE facilities have been sentenced to 50 years in Texas as terrorists. They had first aid kits in their possession. The judge was sending a message to future protests. Well, that case, yeah, they were convicted because one of the guards got shot. One of them shot one of the guards. I don't know all the details of the case. But yeah, I mean, they're sentencing them as having colluded in that. And yeah, the sentencing seemed outrageous. Like there were lawyers who said that typically in those cases you combine sentences rather than compound them consecutively.
Right.
So like there was this one judge who said like they would have expected 15 to 25 years for them. Instead, they got
Right.
like 50, 70, 30. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And the thing that's really scary about that is now, you know, if you're at a protest and some shit goes down, you don't know if you're going to be tied to that, which means
Right.
the really scary thing.
That's the intention. Yeah.
Well, the really scary thing about this too is, you know, you have agent provocateurs in the crowd, man. Like, what if an agent provocateur starts some shit and then you get linked to it? It's very, very scary, very, very scary, and it will have a chilling effect on speech. You know, obviously, and that's why, you know, we always say, I mean, I don't believe in violence anyway, but I would say always have to be nonviolent. The danger is, what if an agent provocateur is in the crowd? What if feds are in the crowd like they were on January 6th and they start shit up? Now all of a sudden there's a throwdown and you get caught up in it. Very, very scary. No doubt about it. Clockwork Orange movie left last chapter out from book with changed the meaning of the ending. I didn't read that book.
If you're talking about what I think you're talking about, they didn't put that chapter in until later. Like the version that I read ended the way the movie did, that little Alex later on in life settling into like a normal life, that chapter was like added back in sometime in like the late 80s.
Eric Rousseau. Oh, sorry, got that one. Terrorist Judge Dredd is British, seems prescient now. Join the ACP. PMC BS is not tolerated, says MC Zib Fivekin. Ben Gavir is a piece. Oh, look at that. $49.99. Look at that. Look at that. Let's get a prayer bell for Musa Al Ghanim. Ben Gavir is a piece of crap. Please clap. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate that. That is very kind of you. Thank you for that generous donation tonight. Hello says, sometimes you climb out of bed in the morning and you think, I'm not going to make it, but you laugh inside, remembering all the times you felt that way. Charles Bukowski. Look at that. That's a nice note to end on tonight. Well, hey, thanks everybody very much for being here. We appreciate you all. Thanks for staying up with us and accommodating this time switch. Thanks to Cool Blue for joining us. Cool Blue, round of applause for Cool Blue one more time. Please follow him on X. Great insights as always. And we will see you back here. Well, actually, you'll see Russell tomorrow on the Jimmy Dore Show. Russell is hosting the Jimmy Dore Show.
Yes, you will.
Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And you will see the rest of us on Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate you all for being here this evening. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks to the YouTubers and the Rumblers and the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. Russell will be hosting the Jimmy Dore Show tomorrow night, so you'll see him then, and you'll see us back here noon on Thursday. Until then, thanks again for this evening. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.